And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy.
I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Get together, have a few laughs.
Welcome to the Iowa Talk Guys podcast. I'm your host, Theo. Erock. Teepee? That's right, you're stuck with me tonight. But that's not bad news, because Hank from 643 Conspiracy Podcast, downriver from the Talk Guys on the banks of the mighty Mississippi, reached out to Teepee on short notice for a roundtable discussion. Unfortunately, Erock and Teepee were not able to make it, so you're stuck with me. But myself, Hank, Chef Kyle from the Sunday Night Secret Society out of SoCal, are pleased to bring you a long-form discussion about anything and everything. I'm also pleased to say that I think we planted the seeds for a long-term relationship here with these guys, and it was an absolute pleasure, the discussion that we had, and I can't say enough about those guys. They're good dudes. There will be more to come between us. However, put this one in your pipe, smoke it, chew on it, devour it, enjoy it. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 643 Conspiracy Podcast. I'm your host, Hank. I'm going to be flying this plane solo tonight. My boy Drew, he's unavailable due to work, but I guess that's to be expected when you're a South Florida detective getting it in. Like, you know, before we jump into anything, I'm going to send you over to purepetwellness.com. Nico and his family have a small company that they own and operate. You can get your kitties or your little puppers the best line of CBD products that you can find on the market for an extremely amazing price. If you go over there and enter promo code 643 at checkout, you're going to get 20% off every time you go. So go check them out at purepetwellness.com. And then if you're into soap, I got a line of conspiracy soap you might be interested in. Go to dangerousworldpodcast.com and you'll catch up with Ghost from My Third Eye Podcast and Ryan Dean. Their line of conspiracy themes soap. It's great stuff. I'm about to be placing another purchase because I'm down to my last bar. I love it. My wife loves it. It's all organic. They say you can eat it. I don't suggest doing that. Probably won't end well for you, but it shouldn't kill you. So there's that. Go check out that soap. With the housekeeping out of the way, we're back with another Dugout Session. I know it's been a while, but here we are, and I am extremely honored to welcome our first guest of the evening from the Iowa Talk Guys podcast, Mr. Theo. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
The honor is all mine, Hank. Thanks for having me. I apologize that the other guys can't be here.
Hey, it's all good. I'm sure we'll be catching up soon in the future. And then from the Sunday Night Secret Society podcast, we got my brother, Chef Kyle in the house again. How you doing, bro?
Oh, doing well. You know, another beautiful Friday night, another beautiful chance for me to hop on the Dugout Session with you. So thanks again for having me, brother. Happy Friday. And I'm sorry to do this. Happy fucking birthday, Hank Dog.
Thanks,
Happy
man.
birthday.
Thanks, fellas. We might have some more people straggling in the door as we go, but for right now, gentlemen, it's just us. It's like Chef said, it's a great Friday. lots been going on in the world lately, but I've been trying to stay just as positive as one could stay in this world. And it's not too hard to do when you're getting ready to watch the playoff baseball. High school football's in mid swing. College football's officially going all the way. The NFL season's underway. It's a good time to be a sports fan in the world.
Amen. I
Sure
actually
is. Go Hawks.
I was listening to you guys earlier before we hit the button, and I need to start digging into a little bit more college football, but I do pay more attention to the NFL. I think partially due to the fact that I do play fantasy football, and most of the people that I know play NFL fantasy rather than college ball. But yeah, man, it's a beautiful time to be a sports fan. I'll tell you that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've got my little cousin playing his high school football game tonight on the phone going right now. They're demolishing.
Nice.
33-0 early in the second quarter. Gotta love it. My
Wow.
sorry, my cousin's the center, and the coaches for the last 2 years.
That's a skilled position right there.
Did he say a sinner?
Yeah, he's the center.
Yeah, center,
Oh,
man. That's
center,
skilled position.
center. I thought you said sinner.
A sinner.
Okay,
A sinner.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the center, and he's the only player on the team that knows every play of the playbook for every position on the field on both sides of the ball. Like, he is incredibly smart. And he's a massive human. He's like 6'7", 6'8". He just needs to bulk up. He's probably 230, 245 right now, but if he put on, man, he's going to be a beast wherever he goes to college, because he's got the brains. I mean, he's a straight A 4.0 student. He's going to go wherever he wants to go if he chooses to go play college football somewhere. And if he's not going to go put on that Cardinal and white and call them Hogs, then I wouldn't mind seeing him repping the old black and gold up there with our northern brothers in Iowa.
Ooh. There we go. Yeah.
Lineman,
we'd love to see that too. And I'll tell you what, I was going to say, being a center, something that seems to work, at least with centers that go to Iowa, is wrestling is a big help when football's down.
Sure.
So I think there's one guy in the NFL right now that's a center from Iowa, and he wrestled too. In fact, what's the dude's name? Tristan Wirfs. Familiar with that guy?
Yeah.
O-lineman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're from pretty close to each other. I'm trying to remember that Tyler Linderbaum is the other guy.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
And there's a great video of
Linderbaum pinning Wirfs.
Like in 15 seconds. It's wild. But it wrestled great for center too, because you got all that balance and whatnot. And man, like I said, center is a skilled position. Sure. In my opinion. And,
Jason Kelsey, God bless that beautiful man. Fly, Eagles, fly, by the way. He's showed the whole world that you don't need to be some big 400-pound hog molly to be a center. He, coming out of Cincinnati, he was highly criticized for being an undersized player. And all he's done is become arguably the best center in NFL history.
I played a little bit of rugby, very little bit. I'm no good. But I learned real quick that the big guys, they're easy, man. You just put your shoulder into them low, wrap up those legs, and they go down. The small guys, they'll frickin' hurt you, dude. They will get low, and you'll feel your testicles hurt all the way up in your stomach.
I think Jordan Mailata might have been the exception to that rule. I had some serious questions for the Eagles front office. It must have been about 5 years ago when they drafted Jordan Mailata, this rugby player who has never even touched an American football, but they thought that
from New Zealand or something.
Yeah. I actually think he was from New Zealand. He was either from New Zealand or Australia, but he's a 6'9", just behemoth of a man that can sing fucking alto. He's a beautiful dude. But
that's wild.
he literally had just been killing it in rugby and had never played American football. And the Eagles front office thought that they could turn him into a offensive lineman. And I'm sitting here thinking, put him in as fullback. He would be better than Mike Allstott. He would just be
fullback,
killing it. But they did. Now he's one of the best.
I can't stand by if you talk about Allstott. Can't talk about Allstott
was special,
like that, brother.
But he would have been the most explosive fullback since Allstott. I'd have said that.
I'm just messing with you.
I was just watching some Allstott highlights the other day.
That's another black and gold
shoulder pads.
College, man, at Purdue.
Yeah.
Old school.
The definition.
What you got?
Don't
there?
Give up.
What are you drinking, Hank?
Oh, I got me a Dos Equis. I was thinking about going and getting me a little bottle of rum earlier, but I said I wanted to make it more than an hour or so tonight, so we're gonna stick to the few Dos Equis I had in the fridge. Oh,
it's awesome.
No, but I've really, it's been another disappointing season for Arkansas. We let 2 games in a row get away from us that we absolutely shouldn't have lost. We should be 4-0 with a win on the road at ranked LSU. Mismanagement in the second half is the only reason we didn't win that football game.
You sound like an Iowa fan.
Dude, I don't dislike Iowa. I don't dislike them, man. They burnt all 3 of their timeouts. It was I think it was the first or second possession after the halftime whistle. Arkansas was down in the red zone. They had went for it on 4th down and ran a fake punt. They got down in there further. And because of a couple of penalties, because of a couple of potential delay of game, Sam Pittman had to burn 2 timeouts on that one drive early in the second half. And then they ended up, before they even made it to the 4th quarter, had to burn the 3rd one. Teams just not – it's hard to hear in Death Valley, sure, but at the end of the day, Arkansas shoots themselves in the foot with penalties week in and week out. It's something that's been consistent since week 1. It's really disappointing because we've got the players, and the players have the skill to not only win the SEC West, but come in a really good-looking second to Georgia for the whole SEC. Would be more than willing or more than deserving of a playoff spot come next year. This team would be, without the penalties and without the mismanagement of time and the such. It's just really disappointing because, with KJ coming back for one more year, with Rocket Sanders coming out for one more year, who still hasn't been on the field since the first game. They haven't been in here, babe. Sorry, fellas. Dogs are in here raising hell.
No, you're fine.
No, I ain't talking about Pure Pet Wellness.
Did you catch anything?
What was that?
He wants some of the doggy CBD. Did you catch anything from the Iowa at Penn State last week by chance? The slaughter?
No, I was too busy crying in my pillow after we lost to LSU.
Sure. Yeah, so it was the worst Iowa football game I've ever watched. Thankfully, I was in good company over at my brother's house. But I think it was 31-0 Penn State. And Penn State ran more plays than Iowa had yards of offense. It was crazy.
Lord.
Never seen anything like it. But the news is it's just football. So,
yeah.
It was wild.
Arkansas could make a bowl at 500, and if they play in Memphis again, I'm gonna go see them again, and I'm gonna call those Hogs like they're undefeated playing for the Natty. It's just life of a Razorback. The past 2 years,
we played Kentucky. Yeah, I hear you. They had a lot of good teams back in the day. particularly. I mean, it's been a while since Arkansas has had those Arkansas teams.
Sure, I was in high school.
I grew up hearing about.
Yeah, I remember. Back before Bobby Petrino took that midnight ride on that Harley and with that bimbo, we were number 2 in the country, poised to win it all. And he had to go get on that Harley. He couldn't have took his car. Nobody cared that he was boinging her. Nobody cared that he pulled some shady strings to get her hired on in Arkansas because he had us number 2 in the country. And then he just had to go get on that Harley. Yeah, you can
get away with stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Especially at a place that hasn't won in 30, 40 years. But did y'all hear about this thing that's been coming up lately with, I don't know if y'all remember hearing some earlier in the year, Ron DeSantis and Disney were going back and forth. When DeSantis started blocking certain stuff being taught in the schools, when he started taking more conservative stances, and Disney wanted to start speaking out about it, the whole "Don't Say Gay" bill thing was a big thing. And Ron DeSantis was like, "All right, you opened your mouth. You want to jump into the political world. Well, you know what? Here, you know what? You don't get those tax breaks that you enjoy anymore." I didn't know this until earlier today.
Well,
Disney fought back with a clause that goes back to a 1692 British Bill of Rights.
What?
Exactly.
I didn't hear that.
So here's a News Nation article. It's a couple of months old, but it says, in an effort to resist efforts by DeSantis to exert control over the park, Disney's current board passed an agreement that will dramatically limit the power of a new DeSantis-appointed board that includes a reference to King Charles. Under the new agreement, Disney will not need the board to approve new projects or development rights until 21 years after the death of the last survivor of the descendants of King Charles III, King of England, living as of the date of this declaration.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
So basically, what they just said is until when King Charles dies, 21 years later, that's when they have to submit to Florida law.
It's the last descendant of King Charles. So the last.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought I heard.
Oh, yeah. Until 21 years after
even
the
further
death
than
of
that.
the last survivor of the descendants of King Charles III.
We'll be gone. I think that's the point of that, is what that sounds like.
Wow.
It sounds like some lawyer BS to me, man. But that's what these guys do, right? They play these games, they get all their lawyers involved, and
the accusation I heard, though, was that the land that Disney World sits on in Florida is owned by the Crown. Now, I haven't been able to validate that fact, but that was the accusation made. The accusation, or they also accused Washington, D.C., the land that it sits on, to still to this day be owned by the Crown. So, like I said, I haven't been able to validate either of those statements, but I haven't found anything that hasn't been like, no, it's not owned by the Crown.
I always heard that, after the Revolution and the establishment of Constitution in the United States of America, I don't know if it was like the War of 1812 or whatnot, but it's like the powers in Europe bought us back type of a deal. And would that surprise you?
No. I'm one of those guys that's always late to the party when it comes to watching series on streaming platforms. Like, when everybody else in the world is watching it, I don't want to watch it just so I can be a part. I don't want to be a part of that. Oh my God, did you listen to the new episode? Hold on now, bitch. I'll wait years. Okay. Like I'm just now catching on to the Tudors. And it's a decent series. You know, I've definitely watched worse. But there was a episode not too long ago I watched where the Pope had said that instead of rejecting, he was referring to Henry Tudor, the King of England at the time, instead of rejecting his wishes outright, why not give them the illusion that we gave them what they wanted? What if the British Crown, when America was quote unquote colonized and revolutionized, what if the Crown took that same principle and was like, instead of just fighting them and rejecting what they want, why don't we just give them the illusion of that they got what they want? So if they do own the ground that Washington, D.C. sits on, because we all know that D.C. is not a city, it's not a state, it's a territory. Very horrible territory. I've been there personally. It smells like shit in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. It's not a nice
place. It would make sense that would be the Crown giving us the illusion that we actually revolted and were successful and that we are a separate nation, when we all know that, and we can tie strings to several different, whether it be the Jews, whether it be the British Crown. There's somebody has a story for somebody having hooks in America. We're not just of our own. I think it's clear to see that we're really not as separate and independent as we think, as we've been led to, especially my generation. And, Chef, you've heard me talk about it dozens of times, but, 10 years old watching 9/11 go down, and then we have to pretty much grow up through our most formidable years under the guise of America good, the rest of the world bad. And,
yep.
The rest of the world wants to kill you and all this, that, and the third. And then you finally get grown and you just realize that none of what you were told is true. None of the people that you thought actually had power have anything close to it. They're just puppets that you'll never really know the names of the people who actually have the power, because if you know their name, I'm convinced they're not the ones with the power. They might have some power, but it's not the power. And so, it's just wild to think about that. Maybe the Crown legitimately has a foothold still in America physically that we call the nation's capital. I mean, how coincidental.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. That literally would not surprise me at all.
Does that sound more far-fetched than we went to the moon?
No.
Because that sounds pretty wild to me, man. We went to the moon. Oh no! I mean, what's your what do you think about all that?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Yep.
So going back and tying into that, somehow we were, I don't know if it like Earth stack is the right, but I've always kind of had a very loose hypothesis that with such close ties to the Crown and that if there was sort of backdoor shadowy agreement to purchase the colonies back, because think about the First World War and the Second World War. The Second World War primarily is where we really learned the industrial and manufacturing powerhouse that the United States is. We have our own fuel. We have our own oil. We can build stuff. We used to be able to back then, right?
Yep.
Build stuff quickly, build a lot of it quickly. And, I remember hearing my grandfather tell me that the German Panzer tank was superior to the Sherman tank of the U.S. The problem was that as soon as the Panzer destroyed Sherman, there were other Shermans to go grab, right? So what if the U.S. sort of became the new military colonial wing of the European powers, primarily the UK? So we don't expect British kids to go die on far-off continents anymore. We can get stupid peasant colonists from Arkansas or California or Iowa instead.
Sure.
The is yours. That's my theory.
I mean,
can't prove it.
Can't be disproven though, can it?
I think that, they don't have to spend $14 billion on their own aircraft carrier. We can do it.
Sure.
On all prep.
Had our fucking women doing it. Put the men through the meat grinder and then put the wives in the factories while the state had the children.
And kill off a bunch of testosterone, right?
They're definitely doing that now, and especially when it comes to, how this kind of ties back into Disney. There was, from what I've heard, is that Disney is doing some really nasty shit, and what they're doing is they're popping up all over the United States these little clinics, and they're Disney owned clinics or Disney sponsored clinics. And if you go into this clinic, right, and this is for children, this is not for adults to my knowledge, you go in there for a consultation so that you can have a consultation to do a gender switch or what have you, right? And so if you go in there just for a consultation and you decide not to get anything done, you are going to receive 1 free year of Disney Plus. Now, if you decide to go through with the procedure, mind you, these puberty blockers that they're handing out are all Disney themed, right? So if you're a little boy and you want to become a little girl, you're going to take the Cinderella themed puberty block, and vice versa. You're a girl going in and you want to be a boy, you might get like a Robin Hood, or you might get a Prince Charming bottle.
They give you that Woody.
There you go. They're going to give you that Woody. They're going to give you that Disney. They're going to give you that Pixar. And if you go through with the entire thing, you get a 1-year pass to any Disney resort, I believe, in the United States. So that goes back to England, the ties to possible Washington, D.C., possibly the land that Disney is sitting on in Florida. And then back to your point, Theo, of making us more feminine, less testosterone. There you go. Bang, bang, bang. Bada bing, bada boom.
To me, it's pretty simple. Americans wouldn't want to do this to themselves. So it's pretty obvious that we were infiltrated decades ago, and that slowly over time, generationally, certain people were put in power that weren't Americans, and they have constructed our nation's path to their will, which is to decimate us at every level. Families can't be families. You can't live in the country. You got to eat bugs while Bill Gates pours in the genetically mutated virus, jab carrying mosquitoes on you, while your kids can't be your kids. They've got to be there, not only the village's kids, but more importantly, their kids. They being the government. That's what they've said. They're their kids. I don't care. Karine Jean-Pierre be damned. Fucking Hillary Clinton be damned. My kids are not their kids. But, it's there's a concerted effort that's been going on for years to get us to where we are now. And I don't think it's too late yet to stop the progress and get back on the path, but this window is not going to last forever. And if we don't do something about it, start doing something about it anyhow now, there won't be a later to fix. Because once our military is completely comprised of people who are more worried about their individual feelings and quote unquote rights than they are with laying down their line for the flag that's on their shoulder, we're fucked. Anybody could come over here and just walk right in. It's going to be up to guys like us to fight for our homeland, but you got to understand, if we get mainland invaded by a serious force, if China and Russia really want to team up and come over here, there's only so much that we can do, especially if the military is not going to military.
We've talked about this.
Yeah.
No, you're good, brother. You're good.
Y'all just did some shows about this, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we've talked about this before. There is the private firearms issue that's being eroded. I don't think that Russia and China, and we have talked about this a lot on our podcast, that I don't think the past 20 years since 9/11, while the United States has been messing around over in the Middle East, Teepee's been deployed there. He's talked about that plenty of times on our podcast. Watching, they've been learning. For instance, another thing that we've brought up a ton of times is that stupid freaking China balloon. That thing probably like a few $100,000 at the most. But remember how they shot those missiles at him?
Yep.
At it. One of them went off astray, like over Michigan or whatever. Those things were like $1 million a pop.
Sure. So
you've got a few $100,000 weather balloon, $1 million, and if only with spend $2 million to their few $100,000. That's an insolvent equation. It doesn't work for us. What would happen if you just used one of those weather balloons and EMP'd us?
I'd have been over with.
Or EMP'd us a bunch of different.
It's incredible how vulnerable America really is. You think about it.
Yes, sir.
Like you said, a couple of well-placed balloons with EMPs that don't even have to come close to the ground could completely cripple the entire nation. And then
that's even before we start running. That's before we run out of food. How many people are freaking out because their phone doesn't work? They're freaking out because their phone work. We haven't even run out of food yet.
Yep.
Then it gets really bad.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it would take too much.
Sorry, I think we have a little bit of a delay here, but I had a guest on named Tommy Dimmel. He's on Instagram, and we were talking about kind of similar stuff to this. But one of the things that he had mentioned regarding something like this happening, we got food issue, right? We have cell phone issue, right? We have banking issues, like if an EMP crash, you're not going to be able to go pull no money out. But what about this? What about pharmaceuticals? What about people that are dependent on certain pharmaceuticals? Right? If you're a little loopy like myself,
yes,
I do not depend on any medication, but there are some that do need that medication to keep them, I guess, grounded. I don't agree with any of that, but anyhow. But my fiance, for instance, is diabetic, and she has to have her insulin. If she doesn't have her insulin, there's a good chance she's fucked. So you talk about these people, and also people that are dependent on like Xanax, that have been dependent on Xanax for X amount of time, and then all of a sudden they can't get their Xanax or their opiates. Maybe they're dependent on opiates and they can't get their fucking opiates now because all the systems have crashed. You want to see fucking zombies, bro? That's where the zombies are gonna be popping out of.
We'll bump that down one level.
You bet.
The shit's already hit the fan. There's no hospitals to go to. You don't know how to procure antibiotics, and you get shot in the leg. It's not fatal, but you're shot in the leg. It's a through and through wound, or you get stabbed, or you get cut hopping a fence. Now you might have tetanus, or you step on a nail, or a rusty piece of metal falls on anything. What the fuck are you going to do then? You might be Billy Badass in the middle of the city when everything's going on, but now you're going to tell me a little cut, a little boo-boo going to kill you? Because I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to piss on it. no, but there's situations that people will never think about in a typical prepper scenario. What are you going to do if you step on a rusty ass nail or something? When's the last time you've had a tetanus shot? Now me, because I'm a fuck up and I cut myself and hurt myself at work all the time. I've had a couple of tetanus shots a few years in a row. I'm good for a few years. So, but how many people just get tetanus shots?
I should go get one.
And it's crazy to hear people that are conspiratorially minded talking about, I need to go get a tetanus shot when we spent the last 3 years preaching against a shot. But it's you get the sniffles, you get a pretty severe sinus cold, sinus infection or ear infection, or if you get an abscess in your tooth, these are life-threatening situations when you have no access to medication. And then you hear about all of the, I listen to podcasts all day, every day, and one of the popular brands being popping up everywhere as advertisement. So you hear is this Jace case, this medical company that you can order this Jace case, and it's got all these different antibiotics with them. And I'm just thinking, it can't be as easy as, I bet you've got to have prescriptions and all kind of shit. They probably want you to buy a monthly subscription, but I have a bug out plan, but my bug out plan doesn't work for my family of 5. My bug out plan is going to get us killed quick because my kids and my wife won't shut the hell up. Because me and my 22, we're good for about 250 yards, lethal. Come within that circle, you're done. But it's 22. If you've got anything bigger than that, you're going to hear us a long way off because these kids are fucking bad.
I got to go to the bathroom, Daddy. Not now, damn it.
My wife's going to be getting bugs on her, and that we can't have that, So a bug out situation isn't really conducive to a family of 5. But I mean, I do have a plan, and my plan is to get away from compared to Chef, I'm a tadpole in the sea of life with my little town of 8,000. He's got to get out of. I couldn't imagine being anywhere near a populated place like in California or up near Chicago. Trying to evacuate from that place would be a fucking nightmare. But I'm going across the levee and I'm hanging out by the river. I'm going to be in a van by the river, living, catching me some fish and shooting some deer.
In a van down by the river.
I'm going to make it. My kids might not make it because, I mean, I'm going to try. I'm going to keep them alive as long as I can, but I'm going to be all right for a little bit because I know how to shut the hell up.
Daddy's going to eat. Daddy's going to eat. Daddy's going to survive. The rest
Callie don't want to even think about her life being in a situation where her survival would have to depend on her helping me skin and gut like deer and rabbit and squirrels and shit. I got plenty of that.
You guys have a lot of hogs down there too, right?
Not necessarily
those
where
Razorbacks
I'm
down
at.
there.
That's
why negative 30 in the middle of winter in Iowa is valuable because we don't have bugs or poisonous snakes for the most part.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. Like we've got snakes, every bug imaginable, crocodiles, fucking.
You got gators where you're at?
They're in the river. They're in the river.
That's wild. I couldn't
I've
imagine
seen pictures.
that.
I've seen pictures around Memphis and stuff where they've pulled out gators and stuff from the river. I've seen. I don't know if you want to call it a panther. It ain't a mountain lion because there ain't no fucking mountains in the flatlands, but it was a light tan colored big kitty, big old kitty.
Same thing.
Big kitty.
Same thing. Mountain lion, whatever you want to call it.
That is a big old kitty. I was walking through the woods one day and
they say that we don't have them.
That's what I said. And I said, homie, I don't know what to tell you, but I was sober and I know what I saw.
Well, they've been caught on trail cams though. Our DNR says that we don't have them here, but they have been sighted. Even black bear. We had one. Shit, I saw it a few years ago. I mean, everybody was stopped on the freaking road and whatnot, but I guess that thing went all the way from Wisconsin down to shit. I think they killed it in like, I want to say like Missouri or maybe it was Arkansas. I can't remember, but all this stuff that they say we don't have, it seems like it pops up every now and then. And then what's even crazier is we have a show that's actually about to release. So I guess by the time this comes out, it will be. But there's been some Bigfoot sightings around here, which is wild. We did a show. We interviewed an author that wrote a fiction book based on some accounts. Tim Moon is his name. His book is Tomato Fields. Yep. And it was a great interview. Dude's awesome. And yeah, sure as shit. There's been some sightings right in a small town of about 5,000 close to us. There was a sighting in 1981, and then about 10 miles away from where I'm at right now, there was a sighting in 1989.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Tim Moon. I've heard him on, I forgot where else I heard him on, but thank you for the reminder because he did reach out, and he seems like a very interesting dude as well as his books. But the Bigfoot sightings are awesome, man. Have you guys checked out like the Bigfoot? They have like a Bigfoot map.
I just seen one today or yesterday.
That
had it was a map of the U.S., but it had dots for every sighting, like colors of dots that were like, it was sightings per populace type of thing. And I was really surprised to see that the Midwest and like the South was hot with Bigfoot sightings. And it made what made the sightings on the West Coast, dwarf in comparison. Like the Northwest corner was really hot up in the Pacific Northwest, but like the Bigfoot sightings in the Midwest especially really surprised me because I ain't never did see no Bigfoot in Arkansas. But then again, I'm not over there in the hills and the mountains. I'm in the flatland. I'm in the Delta.
Yeah, it's wild. I think that the map you're talking about, Moon sent to Teepee, and we were doing show prep, and I looked at it, and in fact, that's where I found, if we're talking the same one, these two cases that are very close to us. Cool. And yes, it's wild, dude. It's a real map, and if you get a chance, check out the podcast. It'll be 73 of Iowa Talk, I believe. That recording, it's going to be in a number of days. And in 1869, there was something in the Hartford Current, I think it was called, about some wild young boy looking thing. And it was spotted, and this thing, like, it was eating a fish out of the river, at the big river, Mississippi. And as soon as it saw this guy, it jumped into the water and it swam off to an island. And what's really crazy about that is, and I explain on the show, is that once you get north of, I know you're down there in Arkansas, but once you get north of St. Louis, we have a system of locks because we raise up a little bit more in elevation, just a little bit, hundreds of feet. It's not much. But in order to get barges up here to take grain down and whatnot, you have to lock through and go up and down and into different pools. So the point of that is that prior to that, and it's interesting, Lock and Dam 15 in Davenport, Iowa, close to where we're at, I believe was the first one built. And the river prior to that was just wild, man. So it must have been something special to swim all the way to an island, however far. We've always heard that before the locks, it was just rapids. Could you imagine a river damn near a wild ride or a mile wide? It would be a wild ride with rapids.
See, I got a good friend of mine whose dad and grandparents live up north of St. Paul, and he's told me that he's walked across the Mississippi River ankle deep.
Yeah.
And it's just crystal clear, super cold water, but it's only ankle deep where it's at. And I often think about this river. Like growing up, I used to go park because there's tons of places you can just drive right up to the Mississippi River and just chill for as long as you want to sit there and watch that river roll, man. My daddy used to run towboats back in the day, so the river's got a soft spot in my heart.
Yeah, likewise.
I've often thought about, like I'm looking at your picture on here, and it's got the eastern part of the state where the river is, and it's just crazy to see all the twists and turns. And like I'm thinking about how crazy the river is right out where I'm at, and I couldn't imagine, because I know how I've been in the Mississippi River in a 12-foot john boat. Like I've been out there, it's different looking at it than it is being in the middle of it. Because if you don't know what you're doing,
that,
go ahead.
It'll take you if you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Well, look at that west border. You see that west border?
Yeah.
That's the Missouri River.
Oh, okay.
It's we're the land between two rivers, Mississippi and the Missouri. So that you get over to the Missouri over there, it's kind of the same deal, man. And then the river, like where you're at, think about this: the Missouri River dumps in down by St. Louis. You get like twice the volume of water.
Oh yeah,
than we do.
Do y'all? So I'm assuming y'all have a
too.
levee system, right?
Yeah. That's what the locks and dams. Well, I guess levee, you mean an earthen sort of dam to keep the river in its banks?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean in certain spots, absolutely. And it gets really bad in flood years when the what's it called? Liquefaction? No. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but when the levees become too saturated, and then they just give out.
Yep.
Well, shit, it happens down where you're at.
Yeah. Back in 2011, I think it was 2011. It was a particularly wet spring. The river was really swollen. We had they're probably 30 feet high levees, 30, 35 feet high levees, and it's just a wall of dirt that's got grass growing. Hell, I mean, we put cows on them. We graze them with cows and shit. But like in the county I'm at, from tip to tip, there's a solid levee. Now, of course, there's all kinds of different spur levees, and we have particular levees that are built specifically to be blown out in case of a serious flood. That way you can flood certain areas before you start flooding other areas. But this particular year, the river was so high that I went to the levee and I put my hands above my head and touched the top of the levee, and my feet were in the water. If you could imagine at the bottom of the levee looking up 30, 35 feet, and it's just water.
Wow.
Just
it's a lot of water.
It was wild, dude. Like, businesses started boarding up, sandbagging up. And I mean, the town that I live on is like, if the levee were to bust, we were literally the first to find out within seconds of that levee busting. Water was pouring through like jets underneath the levee because of the sheer amount of pressure on it. And it was there for so long that the ground just got saturated in it, and it was just finding ways to get through. The levee did end up busting about 15 miles south of where I was at, and my buddy at the time was living in an old plantation house, and it was a beautiful house, big 2-story house that was filled with just the plantation owner. He was inducted into the first class of the NFL Hall of Fame. He played in the first Super Bowl. He was a photographer in both World Wars. Like, wow, crazy story behind the owner of this plantation. And there were chemistry sets from the early 1900s. There were textbooks and all kind of literature works from the late 1800s, early 1900s. Like, it was an amazing property, and the flood took it, which is really sad because I used to spend hours just rummaging through the books that were upstairs, just gobsmacked, because I'm a sucker for old stuff. But yeah, I've seen the river get on out of hand real quick. Like, it gets scary, you know, when you get to thinking about the only thing that's keeping you dry and alive is a little dirt hill, and you hope it holds.
Yeah, that's scary, dude. I know when we were up in Northern California, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, we're on the Russian River, and the Russian River started to overflow. And it wasn't even that. I mean, it's literally a river. It's not like it's not that big, but the damage that was able to do to a lot of homes, as opposed to what y'all are talking about, like that could be crucial, absolutely devastating. And to be banking on a few, you know, whether it's hills or land masses in between you and that water is definitely something to be worrisome about. I wish I was a little bit better with geography, as far as to where y'all are located, but yeah, no, it's definitely a wild thing to think about. Definitely a wild thing to think about. And forgive me if I sound weird. I've been stuffed up for 2 days now, so I'm constantly having to blow my nose.
You're good, bro. Theo, what can you tell me about that little appendage on the southeast corner of Iowa? I'm curious as to how that thing came about. There's got to be some wild story for that little hook of land. Like, it's got to be like some Hatfield McCoy level. What is it?
You get much further south than us, it's Missouri. There's a joke in Iowa that I don't know if I should tell you this, man. It's a joke. But if you took the bottom 2 rows of counties in Iowa and you made them part of Missouri, you'd raise the IQs in both states.
Oh, damn.
That's a joke. But you said the southeast corner?
Yeah, that little nubbin that's just hanging out there. That's just...
Yeah, that nub that goes down south. Yeah. That's Lee County, I believe, and the main town down there is Keokuk. And I've only ever driven through Highway 61. I'm sure you're right on it, right?
Yes, sir. Born and raised.
Hank? Yep. guess what, buddy?
I drive on that highway every day,
partner. Damn near.
Yep.
Likewise, brother. That's wild riverland, man. It's a lot of like swampy. There's another river that goes in there. I'm trying to think of which one it is because there's a ton of them that kind of run northwest to southeast into the river, and then of course when you get over onto the Missouri River side, they go the other way. But it's just crazy swamp land, and of course no gators or anything like that, but that's some of our backwoods stuff, man, down there.
Well, you said Lee County, and I instantly got a white trash heaven picture in my head. We got a Lee County too. It's nowhere fun to go.
I'll tell you the best part of Iowa, in my opinion, and we're kind of smack dab in the middle of that east side, but northeast Iowa, what's really cool about up there is, of course, everybody imagines, first of all, everybody thinks that we grow potatoes that's not from Iowa, and they think that Idaho grows corn. Well, it's the opposite of that. We grow corn, they grow potatoes. But so you imagine our farmland and whatnot. It's just flat farmland, and the story goes during the last ice age, the glaciers were moving across. They flattened all the farmland, laid all of that rich loess soil, LOESS, I believe it's spelled. But northeast Iowa was spared from that, and it's part of what's called the driftless region. Here's your geography. The driftless is primarily west Wisconsin, but the small sliver of northeast Illinois, a chunk of northeast Iowa, and then a southeast Minnesota, and that wasn't plowed over by glaciers. When the glaciers melted, all of the water rushing down, it carved these huge bluffs and valleys out of limestone. I guess they say that like one of the best bloodlines of white-tailed deer come out of northeast Iowa just because all of the food, the abundance of that Monsanto grain, and terrain that you can really build up a bunch of muscle and whatnot. If you ever get a chance to come up to Iowa, man, we'll show you around, Hank. Chef.
Sure.
Tell what, we'll have some fun. We'll get into some shit.
I'm really good at getting into some shit.
Yeah, fucking Hank, dude. That's funny though. You mentioned Monsanto, dude. Like, so.
Well, Bayer now, right?
Yeah, Bayer now. But one of the hardest. I used to host tastings, private tastings for wine up in Northern California, and I was doing a tasting for this gentleman. And of course, I ask all the questions. I want to know who you are, what you do, where you're from, so we have something to talk about, so I can find some similarities. Because I'm here to talk to you for an hour and a half. Sometimes it doesn't always end up being about wine. Some people just want to shoot the shit. Well, this dude was an overseas defense lawyer for Monsanto at the time. And in my head, dude, I'm like, man, dude, like, you're a fucking piece of shit. Like, I'm sure you're in it for the money. Oh, I was so mad, dude. And this was back in probably 2000 and maybe even 16 or 17. If it was 17, it was prior to the fires that we had. But I find it so interesting, right, that Monsanto also, so they have, everyone knows all the stuff with the farmers, right? They have these GMO seeds. So then if the farm down the way is using Monsanto seeds, the wind blows the pollen, pollinates your crop when you're using your own seed, your organic seed, whatever that case may be. Once the pollination is done, then you get your fruit, you get your veg, whatever that looks like. And now you no longer own your own your own crop, your harvest. You don't own it no more, right? So now they fucking own it, and now they're gonna sue you, and they're putting all these mom and pop, places out of business. And then you look at like the number one heart medicine is owned by, again, now Monsanto Bayer. Well,
yeah,
Monsanto also has Roundup. Everyone knows about Roundup, and I just this
glyphosate.
Is something. Yeah, yep, glyphosate, yep, and then you have all the cancer going on with that. But in my opinion, the irony there is like, when you drive down certain streets and you see all these houses with these perfect looking lawns, there's no weeds at all. They're just perfect looking lawns, and that's the idea. That's what they want.
Bet.
They want you to have that They don't want you to have a sunflower out front. They don't want you to have a nice, beautiful garden out front. Food. Nope, they don't want any of that. And one of the things amongst many that the Roundup kills is dandelions. Well, it just so happens that dandelions are one of the best things you can use for your heart health. But who owns the number one heart health medication is fucking Monsanto.
I was gonna say, should I guess Bayer?
Bayer, yeah, dude.
Don't you dare offer a holistic method to healing.
Right,
what is
dude?
wrong with you? That is heresy.
And that is something that blows my mind right now, is that you can go on, like a lot of the people that I follow on like Instagram and TikTok. One of the dudes I've had on, beautiful soul, his name's Walami. And he is, I wouldn't even say he really goes into a lot about like holistic remedies, but he does dig into like grounding. He's got these beautiful copper staffs that he used to stay grounded to the earth. And he talks about sun gazing and all this shit. And he got banned off of fucking Instagram like 10 times. He's no longer on Instagram. Me, on the other hand, I'm posting shit about, the ex-queen being a fucking lizard person. 9/11 was a fucking joke. And Joe Biden is a fucking moron. And I'm still here. And I have a decent following. It's not a whole lot, but it's a decent amount of people. So I would think that the more exposure that I'm getting, like, they would be knocking me down for this shit. And they don't. But I guarantee you, if I start telling them about these grounding straps you can put in your fucking shoes, they're going to shut that down, fact check it, and then, blacklist me.
Well, let's try this. Listeners, if you get a chance and you haven't heard, check out Iowa Talk Guys. I can't remember exactly what episodes. It's in our 30s. We're coming up on a year since we recorded Operation Paperclip, our two-part. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're over a year and a half of recording now and over a year of release. So it just flew by. But so Bayer was actually part of a larger corporation. In fact, they were like one of the 5 largest corporations. It was one of the 5 largest corporations in the world, called IG Farben at the time. And I believe it was a German corporation. So after the war, IG Farben was broke up into, I want to say, 5 different companies, Bayer being one of them. And IG Farben, interestingly enough, owned a rather significant patent on a little agent called Zyklon B. Maybe you've heard of it. They used to test their products, which Zyklon B wasn't even close to everything that they were doing, but they used to test their products at a facility that they had called IG Auschwitz.
Oh,
maybe you've heard of that. And they were able to advance. And I'm not saying the modern day company necessarily, but they the father company, they were able to expedite their scientific research because they weren't testing on mice. Right?
Okay.
So that's it. But
didn't Monsanto too? Weren't they involved with the making of like Agent Orange? I'm pretty sure
I believe so.
Oh, dude, like, and these.
Yes, I believe so.
It just.
Which was just a weed killer.
Agent Orange was.
Tell that to my buddy's dad, who completely fried his vocal cords. Like he spoke at a loud rasp at best, like a loud whisper. He was over there and got.
I had a relative with prostate cancer.
Oh yeah, it did all kinds of horrible stuff.
Well, yeah, he was in Vietnam, and he has a bout of prostate cancer. He's doing really well, but as soon as you tell the VA you were in Vietnam and you have prostate cancer, boom, Agent Orange, you're covered.
Fuck. Say that again. If you're at the VA and you tell them that you have Agent Orange, what's their response?
No. If you go to the VA, say you have prostate they get tests or whatever that you have prostate cancer, and you were in Vietnam, it's automatically Agent Orange. VA covers it.
Oh,
this is according to my relative.
Okay, interesting.
So, another thing that a lot of people are talking about too. I'm not trying to change the subject up here, but one of the things that's really that people are starting to talk about, and I think we might be working on a special on this, is weather manipulation. And if you go back to Vietnam, it seems there's a lot of information out there that states that the CIA was involved in like cloud seeding for the purpose of creating a ton of rain. And think about that. If there's a shitload of rain, the mud trails that the North Vietnamese, excuse me, I got to burp.
You're good. Get it out.
Trails through the jungle that the North Vietnamese are coming down, the Ho Chi Minh Trail, it was called. If it's raining, dude, you're not walking down that.
No, it's become public knowledge that I want to say it was the CIA documents that were declassified.
Yeah,
had showed that they were trying to affect the monsoon seasons over there. They were like artificially creating monsoons.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wild.
I think the
absolutely
whole
wild. We're learning so much.
Oh, absolutely. And once you're aware of it and you start opening your eyes, like I do think that I could be wrong, but I have a suspicion that the hurricane fucking Hillary that came up right my way. I think that was some sort of weather manipulation, and I don't think it went as planned. I think they were trying to make it a lot more devastating. I could be wrong, just a theory. I don't even have a whole lot to base on that, to be honest with you, just like my sole opinion on it. And then also, HARP and all the other shit.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, no, there's no doubt that they're fucking with shit. Like, didn't they just admit that, or did someone admit that I think it was like an earthquake was it in Pakistan or Istanbul?
Yeah, Turkey.
Turkey. There you go. It was Turkey. Yeah, I heard that's
Istanbul works. Yeah,
they're closed, right? Yeah, I'm telling you, my geography is shit.
Istanbul was the former name of Turkey.
Istanbul is the capital of Turkey.
Okay,
well,
so
that's what it is.
No.
Yeah.
Istanbul is the capital. Yeah.
There you go. This guy.
Sorry for the delay.
No, you're good, bro.
But yeah, I think
we
it's
got
all
SGs on deck.
Let's go. Let's fucking go. But yeah, I think it's all tied in, dude. I think it's all tied in. I think it would be cool too. I mean, we can talk more offline about this, but I like the idea, and I was recently a part of one. Kind of to my knowledge, I'm not exactly sure what the plan was, but where we have like a few podcasts all link up, and then one show releases episode 1, and you can only find episode 1 on that person's show. Episode 2 is on a different show, and you can only listen to episode 2 again if it's on that show, and then again you do a third or a fourth episode depending on how many people you have.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's a great way to spread people around.
Yeah, so it'd be. I mean, we could like bang it out and I don't know, do like one episode every 2 weeks or once a month, and then after a couple months we'll have it all compiled. And then if you want to see episode 2, boom, you're gonna go over the, and it makes you, if you like the episode and you want to hear more, it makes you have to go to that next person. And I think that would be fucking awesome to do. Just throwing it out there.
That would be great.
Well, we'll have to talk
we should
offline
talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, real quick, I have a quick question for you. We this started off talking about sports, college football. What do you guys think about, what is it, Travis Kelce and fucking Taylor Swift?
So I'm gonna send you this clip, and I'm gonna let you screen share and play it, because when I saw it, it broke my heart. I'm a big, I've been an Eagles fan for a long time, and I respect the Chiefs as an organization. To the person that's probably out there, it's all a script. I don't care. I love football. Leave me alone. The Chiefs are a good team. Travis Kelce's a beast, man. And their podcast has been nothing short of just, I think that's the kind of stuff that saves the world. Like, I love their podcast. But when I seen this reel, it just shattered me. And I just realized how long it's been since I've messaged you on Instagram.
You're good. I'm fine. I'll find you one way or the other, one way or another, bro. If you're gonna, send it to me on there and I'll share it. But yeah, I've heard it's just weird, dude. Before we even play this little clip real quick, there's pictures of him like with his Pfizer his little blue Band-Aid with like Pfizer on it, and then all the talks about like the NSA, or not the NSA, I'm sorry, the TSA is going to start rolling out mask mandates now when you travel via airplane. And yeah, man, I don't know. I think they're setting something up. I think there's a tie to the emergency broadcast system that's supposed to be sent out either on the 4th of October or the 11th of October. And then with
been hearing about this.
Yeah, and then like COVID coming back, and then 5G towers, and then fucking the graphene oxide. It's
graphene oxide.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. At the end of the day, I could be completely wrong, but I do see that there should be some awareness involving all of these so-called events that we're supposed to be going through here.
But you're thinking about it and you're talking about it. And the reason that we're doing that, you say you have no idea, but the reason that we're doing this is because we're not getting the information from the traditional media houses that should be. They should be doing this.
True.
But they're not. Instead, we get montage videos of all of these local media stations that are, of course, nationally affiliated with whatever 3-letter acronym company they're a part of. And whether it's down in Southern California, whether it's in Arkansas, or whether it's in Iowa, we're getting fed the same bullshit. And the only thing, why did sounds like we all started podcasting for the same reason, because we're not getting the information from them. They're just reading off a damn script.
Sure.
Yep. Well, you've seen, again, speaking of montage, you've seen that montage over like, it seemed to me like 100 different news agencies, and they're all saying exactly the exact same words at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, if you can't, if you look at that and even possibly think that this is a coincidence when these are coming from different states, all over the United States, at least that I noticed, maybe even out of the US, like, and they're all literally saying the same thing. If you think that's normal, I don't know, man.
The days of coincidence are over, my friend.
Yep.
The days of coincidence are over.
Yep. No, I don't believe in them whatsoever. So actually, funny enough, real quick, I'll play this, but something that just popped into my mind. But Ashley was watching. She put on the very first new episode of American Horror Story, and Kim Kardashian is in this show. Well, during the show, she's watching it, and there's a very brief clip of a newspaper. And when you zoom into it and look at it, it starts talking about the witches of the cabal and all this weird shit. And it's like, bro, they are literally giving us the info, like they're handing it out to us.
Yeah, Rained Out. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rained Out Rantcast.
Yep.
We did a collab with him. I think he's out of Arkansas.
Yeah, he's
as
on
well.
the other side of the state.
Okay. But the term that stuck with me that he used was soft disclosure. They're telling us all of this stuff. We're all on social media. We're on podcasts releasing it. We're talking about it. And that's the honeypot trap. That's the capture. They're hooking us. Now they know where to find us. So whatever, man. Hey, somebody has to talk about this stuff.
Yep. And that's exactly what I tell. I tell
Soft disclosure.
Yep. This is your little
roll that beautiful beam footage. This is going this pissed me off, man.
Oh, right here? Let's play it. I'm gonna throw it up right now.
You can get this season's COVID-19 shot when you get your flu shot.
Two things at once.
Two things at once! Two things at once! I'll have two things at once, please. Now back to two things at once. Two things at once.
That's not two things at once.
Mom!
Travis, ask about getting this season's COVID-19 shot when you can get this season's COVID-19 shot when you get your flu shot.
Two things at once.
Dude, that has to literally have something. The blue, so he had two Band-Aids on, right? Two things at once. So it's almost like he went in and got like the original, or like he got the first COVID shot and then he got his booster. Almost like it's like subliminally making you think, because you're going to see the blue, but you're not going to miss that tan colored Band-Aid that we all knew, we all grew up on. I think it's like a mindfuck thing here, what they're trying to do.
I did not see this until he got with Taylor.
Go ahead, sorry.
Hank?
No,
I
was
think
just
there's
saying.
a significant symbology connected to blue as well.
Yeah, it's the whole way that blue plays on your brain and gives you this sense of safety and peace and calm. It's being used forever.
Well, yes. So think about this, man. When you and I'm bringing it up, but when you read like the book of Exodus from the Old Testament and Moses building the tabernacle that God gives him the instructions for, he's giving him all the dimensions. He's giving him all of the information. This is how you're going to build it, dude, or else. And the fine linen and whatnot, some translations from the Greek translate to lavender, but also blue. And another thing as well is if you look at the Hebrews, like even today, certain Orthodox Jews, in the way that they dress, they have, and I'm not, this isn't, not going off on any anti-Semitic anything here, but the color blue is what they use for they have like prayer tassels that they're ordered to wear. And what color? Blue.
Think about this. You've got, anytime you think of the Star of David, it's usually a blue and white flag. The UN has a blue and white flag. America, red, white, and blue.
Yes.
France has blue. Like
red, white, and blue. Is Russia, also red, white, and blue.
Yeah, I mean, blue's also tied back to. It can be tied back as far as royalty had access to the color. I mean, because we know that there for the longest time, most civilizations did not have a word for the color blue. They did not. That's why
they couldn't make dyes either.
Right. when they eventually figured it out, it was reserved like purple was for the royalty. And so over time,
it's what got Caesar killed.
Right. So over time, you've got a steady buildup of subliminal messaging, whether you want to call it that or you want to call it just whatever, subtle influences through the years and generations and decades, to where we see blue and something about it instinctually makes us let our guard down or want to go there because we think of peace or safety. Like
pacifying.
We identify and think of, like, you know, we most of, in my world, like I have two twin brothers. One got the color blue and one got the color red so that they could have separate stuff. And it's almost like red is the opposite of blue. And so you think about what red gets associated with. Red gets associated with danger, with extreme conditions, or evil, or
bulls seeing red.
Right. A mind state,
aggression,
of uncontrollable rage. And then you start thinking about, why would, first off, we use these colors in that way so that we automatically, without control, start having deep physiological changes to just the appearance of the color. Just seeing the color changes the way we perceive, you know, what comes next. And then you start to think about, well, why would these colors today be used in the manner that they're used? You know, especially with the world of symbols and all that, it's endless. It's an endless just rabbit hole.
Jeff, you all right, bro?
Debauchery.
Yeah, no, I'm good, dude. So I was just thinking, as we're talking about the blue, have you guys ever seen the commercials? And I'm going to say like blue, violet, where they put it on your teeth and then they look super white.
Yep.
So
yeah.
I was listening to a show. It might have been, I don't even know what it was. Probably, I don't know, Ryan Dean and Ghost on Fence or something like that. But apparently, from what I heard, and again, maybe it was not that podcast, but blue, it actually doesn't cover up the yellow. The blue, the frequency of the blue blocks out the frequency of the yellow. So you're still kind of seeing yellow, but the blue is able to, but the fact that it was based on like a frequency.
Yeah, I do believe that was on an episode of Cunt not too long ago, because they were one of the first ones I heard talking about the color blue in reference to Maui.
Yes, and
they kind of went on.
A lot of people been talking about it.
Yeah, and they went on a spiel for an episode or two where they brought that up. Quite frankly, played a lot of clips about it. And then we've probably all seen the one clip of the person at the house with the laser, with the different colored cloths that burns everything but the blue colored cloth. Everything. I mean, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, Kyle. Everything's vibrating. Even this glass bottle that is holding this perfectly chilled Dos Equis, it's vibrating. It emits its own frequency. You know, I've alluded to lately, our emotions, intention within your mind, whether I choose to lie to you or not, emits its own frequency, which is just measured vibration, right? That's all frequency is. It's measured vibration. And it makes sense to apply that same logic to color, because color is just visible vibration. If you want to get real simple with it. So
Memphis is the home of the blues.
Yep.
I feel blue. You know?
We're going to take this real deep, huh?
Dude, this...
Woo! Woo!
Yeah.
You guys
But
kick ass.
But then, like, blue is also kind of like this limit that's been placed on us as humanity, because we look up at the sky and we see the sky is blue, and so I know that I'm in the camp that believes we've never left that blue sky. Like, I don't think I know you are, brother. I don't think we've ever left what we inhabit. I don't know what the hell this is.
Now hold on. I'm not exactly tracking. Can you clarify just a little bit?
I believe that the earth is more than likely flat, and that we have never.
Okay.
See, I'm not one of those people that'll say space is fake and gay, because I do believe that space is very real, and there probably are planets and stuff going on out there, but I just don't think we've ever made it to it. I don't think it's flat in the shape of like a pancake, but I don't think it's a globe. I think I think me and Drew presented some pretty good evidence on our show that we did about it. That regardless of what the shape actually is, because I almost buy into mini Earth or mini lands theory more than I believe in just a legitimate flat plane, but it's definitely not the globe that's being pushed. It's not the blue marble that NASA wants you to believe it is.
Yeah, you guys are talking way above my head, way out of my league. My boy Teepee would be the guy. To be frank, I'm trying to think of conversations that we've had before. I can't say I don't know that he is a flat earther, yada yada yada. But he's the dude, man. He's the guy to talk to about this. So we should definitely talk offline about getting some more stuff together. But
Sure.
He's going to be reeling that we're talking about this and he's not here.
Shout out TP. I'm excited to hear what you got to say. See, I just got introduced
Erock's
to
busy tonight too, rocking.
Yeah, TP was telling me that like he's like the nerd, Erock's the rock star, and you're like the sports guy. So I was like, man, that fucking works, because I was the band geek in high school that really digs baseball, and my co-host is a cop.
I'm the sports guy, just like I have Iowa Hawkeyes season tickets, man, and that's about it.
That's
as far as watching sports, no, not really. But I am the sports guy. I'm just not much of a sports guy, bro.
Hey, that's cool. I mean, we've all got our passions. I don't hate on any, because unless you're Ryan Dean, who says that baseball players aren't athletes, garbage tape, hot garbage.
I will say this about baseball. That's one of the most boring blocks of television I've ever seen in my life. No offense, and I'm sorry.
I do agree too. I do agree with that too. But I think when you're there in person, it's better. See, I love golf.
100%.
Yeah, damn, dude.
Baseball's more boring than golf.
I love golf. I'll
On
speak
TV?
for myself.
In baseball, you might see somebody get hit in the face or something, like either with a fist or a ball.
You might
or
see
a
Randy
bat.
Johnson hit a bird.
Bird, yep.
You're not gonna see that on the St. Augusta back nine, bro. Like, that's not gonna happen. That ain't happening at TPC Sawgrass. If it does, I would pay damn good money to watch fucking Rory McIlroy smack a 254-yard drive and just nail a bird in the apex. That'd be awesome.
I grew up playing baseball, and I enjoyed it when I was like playing baseball, and I would I would actually have interest to sit down and watch these two teams battle it out. But I mean, I don't think I like the sport of baseball. Like I said, I played it all the way up until high school. It's the only sport. It's like one of the biggest commitments I've ever made in my entire life. But watching it in person and watching it from a TV are like fucking night and day. But a lot of people could say the same thing. Like for me, when it comes to football and UFC, I would love to go to a UFC fight, but I have the best view in the house, dude. Sitting on my couch and watching all the cameramen do their job, and I don't miss. Occasionally, I'll have a referee get in the fucking way, but I still get and if you notice,
just
dude,
walk to the pisser.
Yeah, dude, and even when like you look at the announcers, when the announcers are announcing, they're not looking up at the fighters because they're only seeing one, the octagon, right? They're only seeing one side of it, so they're actually looking down at the best view of the fight. Again, too, in football and any other sports where there's when someone throws a red flag in, they challenge the play. They're not watching. They don't go back and sit from one position in the stands and be like, we're going to judge it off of this. They get the best view possible. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Hey, not to change the subject, but I think if you go back to our episode 31, going back, we interviewed Pat Miletich. I don't know if you are familiar with that name.
Name sounds so familiar.
He was one of the pioneers of mixed martial arts in bringing different systems together. Muay Thai, kickboxing, wrestling. Wrestling here in Iowa. I'll tell you this. I'm an Iowa season ticket holder. My wife is a alumni of the University of Iowa. So I get a lot of information and whatnot. You'll find a ticket, and they're both done in the same place, but the same arena. You'll find a ticket to a basketball game, but you're gonna have trouble finding a ticket to a wrestling meet, big time. But so Pat Miletich, I believe I can't remember if it's middleweight. I think it was middleweight. He was the first UFC middleweight champion, actually, to get that belt, and we interviewed him.
Wow!
So shout out to Pat Miletich. He's a podcaster too, and an all around badass. So really cool dude, extremely smart dude.
It's really awesome.
That is fucking dope, dude. Like, oh man, that's awesome.
I've got something sniffing in the works.
It makes it easy. He's from right here, around here, so it makes it really easy.
I've got something boiling in the works that probably won't happen until after the MLB season ends. But I've been in touch with a major league pitcher. He's on an active roster right now. He's agreed to come on the show. I'm so stoked to be able just to pick his brain.
Yes.
I'm
Congratulations,
looking forward to it.
Hank.
Yeah, man, dude. I chalk that up as a huge win.
Absolutely.
I've also I'm trying to figure out the best way to reach out to Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty.
I was going to say something about him earlier.
I got to get
Arkansas.
him on. He's got some hot takes.
Yeah, you bet. He's not afraid to say him either.
No. And I think it might have got, I don't see, because I don't watch the UFC. I don't keep, somewhere around 10 years ago, I was watching somebody just get their eyebrow beat off. And I was just like, man, why do I sit here and watch two people try to hurt each other? And I just left it alone because I used to really enjoy it back when Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, BJ Penn, back when they were real hot. George St. Pierre was young. Like, I used to really get down with UFC. And then I just was sitting there one night and it was just something changed and it wasn't enjoyable to watch. Like, I could never go to UFC event live and be in person to witness something. Because I've been in some pretty bad fights and I've seen some pretty bad fights live. Like, I don't. That's cool, man. Like, I respect it. I'm not gonna stoop to Ryan Dean's level and say that they're not athletes, because they definitely are athletes.
No,
but
yeah,
it's not for me at all. But I definitely am wanting to hook up with Bryce and pick his mind just to see, what he's willing to come on here and say, because I ain't gonna stop anybody from saying anything, pretty much. He's got some, and like you said, he ain't scared to say nothing. So I mean, hopefully that'll happen. Something I was thinking about earlier. We've had president number 45 as Donald Trump, and if he gets elected again, he'll be president number 47. Kyle, what's 4 plus 5?
92.
No, 4 plus 5 is 9, right?
Oh yeah. Sorry,
And
I
then
was
4 plus 7 would be 11, right?
the 1-1.
So you'd have 9/11.
Ooh, yeah. Wow.
Hold on. The
Number
45th,
symbology.
45th. Yep, little gematria. 47. Yeah. Okay. I was doing 45 plus 47, which was 92.
You're trying to be way too smart, bro. Like I'm gonna keep it simple, homie. I'm counting on digits over here. I only got 20 of them.
Roman numeral number 2. That's 9/11.
Wow. And that's and they're two apart. 45 to 47 has got a 2, and it would be 2 presidencies technically, like separate, they didn't run off.
Yeah.
And then 45 or 5 to 7 is 2, so that's 2 technically you'd have. Yeah, wow.
I just wish we could elect a president that wasn't a senior citizen. That'd be really cool, to happen.
Do you guys have in Iowa and Arkansas? Do you guys have do you see more primarily I'm not even saying Republican, Democrat. I'm just saying Biden or Trump. You're either seeing a lot of Biden shit or you're seeing a lot of Trump shit. What do you all see?
Folks around here are done with both of them. My boss swears up and down Vivek Ramaswamy is the savior of the world, and I'm just like, okay, guy.
I did too until I listened to I listened to a couple things.
Dude, my thing is we're never gonna get a candidate that's not gonna have played the game to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't matter who we ultimately end up having to vote for. They've played the game to get there. Whether that's and see, I'm not a Trumper, man, but I think Trump was really the exception to that rule. I think the left put him in the place that, to look like he had a chance to win, fully believing that he was never going to beat Hillary. And then he fucked around and beat Hillary, and they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
They've been in shambles since then, because since then it's just been a ceaseless onslaught. Russia, Russia, Russia.
That was that. I had to look down at the video and make sure that was you, bro.
But I mean, it's been one thing after another, and to this day, and like I said, I'm not necessarily a fan. I didn't vote for Trump twice. I voted against Hillary and against Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
I just I see what they're doing to the man, and it's clear as day that they're only doing this because they can't control him. They're scared of him. While he did play the game once he got into the ringleader seat, because I'm not one of those people that's going to sit there and just ride the man's chode and not look at the fact that he started the massive spending spree, which led to the Biden economy. Mm-hmm. He started pushing the jab. He put Fauci. He didn't necessarily put Fauci in place. He kept Fauci.
Didn't get rid of him.
Yeah, he kept him there. While he did get rid of a few people, I'm not willing to chalk it up to he just didn't know who was around him. Whether you like the man or not, you don't accumulate the business prowess and reputation that he's got to this day by not knowing who's around you.
He said it. He's said as much as that. He said that I donated the money to the campaigns and the politicians because I had to play that game. Yep. And if you think about the place that he was developing, the land that he was developing in Manhattan and whatnot, it was not only that, but there was at one point in time where every single cubic yard of concrete that was being poured in New York City, the mob was getting a cut off of that. So not only politicians and whatnot, he had to deal with those people. And then, I guess to answer your question, what I'm seeing up here in Iowa, Chef, is the most enthusiastic support is for Donald Trump. Don't see any Biden anything, because that dude's dead and all, like, brain dead, and all of his voters know it, but they just hate Trump so much that they're willing to do whatever it is to make sure he doesn't get in office. But as far as voting, and Hank, you mentioned Vivek Ramaswamy earlier, and then all the other myriad of candidates. Dude, I think we're beyond elections, guys. I think we are beyond the pale. We're past the point of no return. And Washington, nobody from Washington is going to get us out of this mess. That's my take.
I agree with that, but I don't have an explanation as to why this is, but I still have a part of me that will not let me sit idly by. Well, there's just a part of me that will not believe the fact that it doesn't matter if I go to that poll or not. I begged my wife last year, please go vote. Please go vote. In local elections too, not just the federal elections. Please go vote. Please. What if it comes down to one vote? Your vote's that vote. I'm going to cuss you the hell out if your vote was that vote. You know, it's like I know that my vote doesn't matter. I know that they're selected, not elected. But I still refuse to believe that sitting back and doing nothing is the answer.
I agree.
And until I can figure out a better answer, going to that poll and voting for whoever has an R next to them is the only way I know how to go about operating. Like Dan Bongino says, I'm not telling you that Republicans are the solutions to all your problems, but you can damn sure rest your bet that Democrats are the cause of them.
I can't get behind that.
I'm not going to say that there aren't swampy Republicans. I'm a registered independent. I don't like voting for the party. I like voting for the person. That's why I throw my hat in the ring for Ron DeSantis, if we're going to be honest. I don't care what his ties are. I don't care how he got to where he got. What I care about is Florida's a damn good place to live right now. Florida's got a banging economy. They actually care about their children. They're passing legislation that protect children and the parents of those children. I wouldn't mind that man being in the White House. I mean, shit, he can't do no worse than Biden. And honestly, I think he would ultimately be somebody that people would come around to throwing their weight behind more than Trump, because he doesn't go out and say crazy shit every other 5 minutes. Like, I would love Trump if he would just shut the hell up, because then I wouldn't know about all the crazy shit. But because he's just so willing to put it out there, I'm just like, God, bro, hey, dude, I get it. You're from New York. You don't give a damn. You got to chill out, man. Like, you don't have to go to Twitter with every little, like, I used to do that too when I got my feelings hurt, broke up when I was 16, run to Facebook and make some sad story. Yeah, I used to do that too, man. Like 20 years ago. We got to grow up sometimes. Like, Twitter's not your friend, bro. Like, he would have just kept his mouth shut. He'd been the president this whole time. That's all he had to do was shut the hell up. But he couldn't quit crying about fucking all this other little shit. And he just, they hate me because I'm orange. Crooked Hillary. Like, bro,
I'm skeptical of DeSantis personally.
I mean, of course, who's not? But at this point in time, Theo, what's my option? I mean, what are my options?
Well,
Vivek, who just took.
I told you where I'm coming from. So you said that you don't care about DeSantis's background. That's fair. Something that really troubles me and creates a great deal of angst with me about Ron DeSantis. I don't know where you guys stand on this exactly, but he was like a Navy JAG lawyer So he was an officer in the Navy that I think he was like attached to a SEAL team or the SEALs or something like that. But what's troubling to me is that I think that he did a lot of stuff down in Guantanamo. And, you know, God only knows what's going on down there, what he did. So I don't know. It kind of freaks me out. And then as far as like voting for Republicans, I think I'm still a registered Republican. I hate to even admit that. I just found that out.
Well, don't feel bad because I damn
candidate.
near went and switched this last summer. I need to re-up my driver's license. Well, and
that was one candidate back in like 2008 that I was campaigning for. Perhaps you guys have heard of him, Ron Paul.
Yep.
Rand Paul's father.
Yep.
Awesome dude. So think about this. Did you guys hear about the impeachment of Texas Attorney General Paxton? What's his first name? I can't remember his first name.
I do believe
but
it's been a
that
little
wasn't
bit,
Democrats,
correct? Or did that just happen?
What do you mean? Been a little bit. Yeah, he got impeached, and that wasn't
was that
Democrats
recent?
doing that. That was just within the last couple months. I don't think he's even allowed in his office.
Wow.
But that was the Bush Republicans down in Texas. And it's funny because Attorney General at the state level is usually an elected position. Texas is no exception to that. And who did he run against? He ran against a Bush. And the faction of Republicans that were actually going after him for the impeachment with no evidence. There wasn't any evidence. And he wasn't allowed to essentially bring any evidence to support himself. Man, that was Bush Republicans going after him. So
yeah, and I
again, yeah.
You're good.
Well, you let
no, go ahead.
I could speak from some personal experience here. I consider Texas, while they're not part of the Deep South, like the Texas is still part of the South, in my mind, anyhow. And there's a famous line by Alabama in their Song of the South that says, "Daddy was a veteran, a Southern Democrat. We ought to get a rich man to vote like that." Well, let's examine that real quick. What were the Southern Democrats? The Southern Democrats were the Jim Crow guys. Yes, sir. Yep. They were the separationists. They were the slave owners, to put it bluntly. They were the
KKK.
Yes, the proponents of white supremacy. And what has happened is, over the decades from the 50s and the 60s into the 90s and the 2000s, is these Democrats stopped running as Democrats and started running as Republicans and made it look as if they've always been Republicans. So you've had several governors. I know of at least two that have run here in Arkansas, ran for years and years as a Democrat, never got elected, ran Republican for one time, and boom, got it. The South, it's a very, very weird place, man. Like, Southern Republicans are true conservatives.
You can say it.
Like, Southern Republican, like, in my opinion, like, I consider myself to be fairly, like, on a scale of 10, like, I'm a hard 7.75 on the conservative scale. Like, because I do, enjoy some liberal activities, but for the most part, I'm as conservative as it can get. I don't want government in my life. I don't want the police in my life. I want to be left alone to collect my rainwater, dig my well, grow my garden. I don't want to hear about no restrictions on any constitutional rights. I don't abolish the income tax, all that good stuff. But what you have today is the upper class of the South that call themselves Republicans and conservatives, they're just Democrats. They're just Democrats. Another hat tip to Dan Bongino. He likes to say that most Republicans are really Democrats, but no Democrats are really Republicans.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
And I think that's the truest thing he could ever say.
Chef, you got something, or am I cool to go?
No, I did. I kind of lost my train of thought, and not in a bad way, because I was listening to what Hank was saying, but no, I literally just lost my train of thought. But I did have something to say about it had something to do with about Republicans. Well, first I was gonna chime in and say, like, fuck the Bushes. Like, I don't agree with anything. I don't agree with any of that. And that all ties back to a few years ago, 9/11, as you guys well know. I'm sure there's a lot of hands that took place in that, but I tend to the face of the blame goes to the Bushes there. Just my opinion. I think there's a lot more to it, but yeah, no, I think there's a lot of different parties, and I don't think it's all about, you know, again, as it just gets really fuzzy. It gets really fuzzy with the red and the blue and the division that we have. I think there's a lot of other good candidates out there. But at the end of the day, like, I don't have an answer, because I do think all of them are. I think they might have started off good. Some of them had good intentions, and I think eventually what ends up happening is the money gets involved in all sorts of ways, and you're being bribed by this group and by this group and by this group, and if you do this, we'll support you here, we'll give you money here. And so it's really hard to trust any of them. And even if they start out good, eventually what's going to happen is there's going to be some money involved. There's going to be some corrupt politicians bribing here and there, and I think a lot of that all ties back to, you know, everyone's like, well, where's the list? Where's the list? Where's the list? You're not going to fucking get the list, dude. It's not going to happen anytime soon, because people that you look up to and people that you see fit in power, there's a very good chance it's almost like a spider web. They might not be directly connected with the list, but they're going to have to implicate their friends, their family, in order to bring them down, and they're not going to be willing to ever do that. So I think it's just a big web of lies and deceitfulness. But if you are going to vote, which I'm still going to say, I think you should do it. It was told to me when I was young, if I don't vote, I should have no bitching rights at all. I shouldn't be able to even talk about it, because you didn't even at least vote. You, at the very least, you didn't vote.
All right. Can I get in here for 1 sec?
Let's go.
Right. I have two things. I'm going to get to what you just said first. If you don't vote, you have no say. And this is an awesome conversation, because, you know, we don't agree, but we're just having a conversation. I'm going to get to why I don't agree right here. Because are you guys like a good plate of food, I'm sure, as much as the next guy, right?
Yep.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the only two options that we have when it comes to a federal election for president is a choice of bread. You have a nice brioche bun on one side. It's tasty. It's a little sweet, comparable to a Hawaiian roll, right?
Yes, sir.
And then on the other side, you have this beautiful, it's a totally different type of bread. It's like a ciabatta. It's hard on the outside. It's crusty. And then it's airy on the inside. It's delicious. But you cut those buns open, and then you slop a big old pile of shit on them. And you ask me to take a bite. Well, I don't eat sandwiches. So I'm gonna still say it, even if I don't have a say. And what I'm saying to that point is I don't eat shit sandwiches, bro. But No, I get where you're coming
love
from.
it.
I really do.
Back in 1996, George Carlin gave his opinion on voting.
On election day, I stay home. I don't vote. Fuck them. Fuck them. I don't vote. Two reasons I don't vote. First of all, it's meaningless. This country was bought and sold and paid for a long time ago. The shit they shuffle around every 4 years doesn't mean a fucking thing. And secondly, I don't vote because I believe if you vote, you have no right to complain. People like to twist that around, I know. They say, well, if you don't vote, you have no right to complain. But where's the logic in that? If you vote and you elect dishonest, incompetent people and they get into office and screw everything up, well, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. I, on the other hand, who did not vote, who in fact did not even leave the house on election day, am in no way responsible for what these people have done and have every right to complain as loud as I want about the mess you created that I had nothing to do with. So I know that a little later on this year you're going to have another one of those really swell presidential elections that you like so much. You'll enjoy yourselves. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure as soon as the election is over, your country will improve immediately. As for me, I'll be home on that day doing essentially the same thing as you. The only difference is when I get finished masturbating, I'm going to have a little something to show for it, folks. Thank you very much.
But just to backtrack a little bit about the split of parties and the sort of blurred lines in between who is where and whatnot. There was a guy in the mid 20th century that was in the Senate. He was a senator from Ohio named Robert Taft. Okay. And his nickname, I hope I'm getting all this right because I'm using my phone to connect to you guys and I don't really have any resources in front of me, but here goes. His nickname, Robert Taft's nickname, was Mr. Republican. This guy was the embodiment of all of these Republican and conservative principles. Now, at that time, we're getting out of the war and the UN is created and we're starting to get into NATO, which is essentially just the military wing of the UN. And you don't have to look too hard to see all of the bad stuff that has come out of that. Well, he voted against being in NATO. Imagine that. We've been talking about Bush and all of these interventionist Republicans when it comes to foreign policy. Well, this guy named Mr. Republican, he voted that we do not join NATO, which in my opinion, history would have been a lot better had we not. And it would be better if we decided to get out right now. But it wasn't long after that. I mean, it wasn't more than a couple decades where there was a new wing of the Republican Party created, and they're still around today. The Bushes are part of this neoconservative wing, the neocons. We've all heard the term, right? And that is where the war and the interventionism really, really started for the Republican Party, because they were the non-interventionist party. I mean, just think about the limited government state of mind would lead one to not want to intervene internationally militarily. But the neoconservatives were actually those Democrats that moved over to the Republican Party. And that's where they came from. So that's my point.
No, that's great.
I love it. And I think the shit sandwich analogy was fucking awesome. First of all, love it.
Thank you, man.
I'm very familiar with brioche and ciabatta, but I do.
Well, Southern California.
Oh, dude,
I just want to know, was there any ranch or bacon on that shit sandwich? Because that heavily
influences.
Does it matter?
Right,
it does, actually.
Does it matter?
But what I was gonna say is that
hey, I'm gonna skip out for a pee real quick. I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
All right, you're good, brother. Oh, that's so great, dude.
How great is this guy?
Love it,
dude. I'm having a blast, man. I feel bad for the folks that skipped out on us. You should all feel horrible,
bro. Don't even get me started on that one.
Oh, I'm just playing.
No,
shit.
I
I'm
am.
having
I
a great
am. I
time.
am. But you know what? It's like weird how it works out, because it does work out. It does work out in some weird way
Yep.
where if you can imagine, like I'm still on my show and I'm still going to invite a bunch more people on. I like it when it's a big group of people, but it's so much more intimate when it's just a couple people. Because if you can imagine, like you already you've been there, you've done that. There's been sessions that you've had where it's like 10 people trying to talk, and so no, it's working out.
Oh yeah,
beautifully on my boy's day of birth. Let's fucking go. Let's go.
Now this has been, we done been all over the map. We done talked some ball, we done talked some football, some baseball, we done talked geography, fucking American history, we done dipped into the political realm.
The color blue.
Talked about flat Earth, and you brought up a banging point when you were talking about when you brought red and blue into the Republican Democrat talk. I didn't even think about that when I was going on my little tirade. You always see blues associated with Democrats and reds associated with Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
It is just, where does the mental onslaught stop? And it doesn't.
Look at that flag right there.
Yeah, I've been staring at
our
it all
flag.
night.
Yeah, it's actually based off of the French flag.
So,
because prior to the Louisiana Purchase of 1803,
Yes.
I believe Arkansas was purchased, from France as well. So that's where our flag comes from.
Yeah, there's a old spelling of Arkansas that involves Q's and shit, and it's from the time that France owned this part of America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, our capital is Des Moines. There are a few S's that weren't pronounced.
Yep.
Yeah, this is wild, boys. This is
Dude,
good stuff, man.
I'm so
I
glad
had
you
like
were able to
2 cups of coffee.
My boy been up since what? What'd you say? You've been working since 4?
I got up at 3 this morning. I decided to spice it up with a pot of coffee and some, how's this for French? Some La Croix sparkling water. I'm amped up, boys. I'm ready to go. This is a blast.
There's actually a little community about 20 minutes south of me called Frenchman's Bayou. And I'm not exactly sure why it's called Frenchman's Bayou. I'm assuming it has to deal with the fact that France used to own this shit, but
that and you're close to Louisiana as well, right?
Yep.
So the Cajuns were, so we know that Australia was like a penal colony for Great Britain, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what Louisiana was for Quebec.
Ain't that some shit?
So they were sending all those French badasses down there,
just shipping them
and
down.
that's what I think yeah, you bet. So they sent a bunch of French criminals from Quebec to.
That's wild. I actually didn't know that about Louisiana.
I didn't either.
I think I'm correct on that. Yeah, that the Cajuns are descendants of criminals from.
I just assumed it always was because that was the mouth of the Mississippi, and they needed somewhere to have a southern route, for trade and stuff. Huh. I'm gonna dig into that. See, there's all kind of shows I want to do that probably wouldn't interest Drew at all. Like there's been rumors that there were a native race of giants that lived here, like Native Americans, but they were like 8+ feet tall people that I've been slowly
Nephilim?
trying. That's what I would believe. But there's an newspaper article, damn it, that was from the 1800s that I've been trying to validate and find other literatures about, but it's not a really easy subject to get too much information on around here.
No, that's like trying to find information on Klaus Schwab's history.
And I don't think it's a stretch of the imagination to believe that there were probably several different races of natives that were probably what we would today consider to be giants. I mean, I've put it out there that in my mind, if all you had to do to get around was run, then you'd probably, over a few hundred years, grow some pretty long legs. We're told that these people hunted, herds of buffalo and whatever. And I ain't never seen no buffalo, but I imagine it could boot, scoot, and boogie pretty quick. And I know me.
Oh, you've never seen one?
I mean, no. Dude,
they will move, man. They will kill your ass. Hey, no offense, Chef, but if you go to Yellowstone, man, there are stupid people from California that get themselves killed every year because they think they want to go up there and take a picture with that 2,000-pound battering ram, and they get flung up 20 feet in the air, and it's over. But no, it's. I'm glad you brought that up. I have a buddy in the area. He's originally from New Mexico, and he's just a badass dude. But his side hobby is just reading books on giants and Nephilim and whatnot. This is another Teepee thing, man. So he's the one that really turned me onto this, and I ended up buying the book. Are you guys familiar with the book of Enoch? Enoch. Yeah,
I own it.
So
I own it.
Yeah, have you dug into like the story at all and like got the picture?
I have read it, and I don't even think I've finished it, but I have the book of Enoch and the lost books of the Bible, so I've dug into like a lot of other books, but I'm pretty familiar with the book of Enoch, and yeah, dude.
Yeah, I've got a base understanding about what it says.
The giants. Yeah. Sorry. The giant.
That's what was destroyed during the flood, right? No.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. No, I was just gonna mention the giants of. I hope I pronounced this right. In Afghanistan, Kandahar.
Kandahar.
The Kandahar giant, dude. TP. Shout out, brother. Yeah, dude, but the story, like, right, there were these watchers, these angels that were watching over Earth and whatnot, and they saw these Earth women, and they're like, they look nice. We like them. We're gonna make a secret pact, and we're gonna do this behind God's back. Like, you can do something like that. And just imagine what would happen when let's say these heavenly, quote unquote, whether that they're good or evil beings, polymorph or whatever, because we're talking about they're not like of the flesh, right? And they polymorph, and then they plant a seed in a woman. Well, you're going to get some crazy abomination, and that's like the idea of why the flood happened. Like, I'm going to get rid of these damn things.
Yep.
Is what God was saying, and yeah, and then you get into the story of David and Goliath and whatnot, and it's nuts. It's nuts.
Just to add on to the Watchers, if you've ever seen the movie, is it called Exodus? It's got Russell Crowe. He stars as Noah, and it does a really good job.
I think it's called Noah.
Actually, it is called Noah. Like I said, it's got Russell Crowe and Sir Anthony Hopkins, probably one of my top 5 favorite actors of all time. But it does a really good job of showing the world the way the Bible won't at that time, about how there were huge cities and folks like Tubal Cain, and they were just these earthly warlords basically that were just corrupt for all they wanted was power and knowledge, and these fallen that were referred to as the Watchers were the providers of such knowledge. But then towards the time where, as the flood drew near, they started to realize that they were on the wrong side of the fight because you can't really fight God. And they decided to instead help Noah and Noah's family. And as the movie suggests, if it weren't for the Watchers, Noah and his family never would have survived. But there is definitely, and I know that there's people out there that will discredit the Book of Enoch because they say that Enoch claims to be the Christ. I haven't seen that myself. I don't know if that's true or not, but I believe that we can't discredit the fact that there was a world happening before the flood, and that the flood didn't just happen because folks didn't believe in God. It was because the angels that God kicked out of heaven were literally about to corrupt the entire planet.
Yeah, well, they did. They did.
Down to, I mean,
and
almost
it's called
down to every single soul.
Yeah, that's why God wanted to wipe it out. And it was called the antediluvian era, I believe. The pre-flood world. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Man, we have taken a trip through the universe tonight.
I was just thinking, it's been a podcast on the 643 Conspiracy when you've talked about literally politics, religion, flat earth, geography, sports, we have touched all the bases tonight. I couldn't be more thrilled. This is awesome. And I don't want you to ever think that somebody's gonna, we can disagree all day long, brother. That is the least of my concerns. I will never lash out and disrespect somebody simply because I don't agree with them. Most of the times I don't agree with somebody. I love hearing why they, to me, like I always say, it's not enough to simply say that you believe. If you don't know why you believe, then you really don't believe. And so when somebody could be look, I disagree with you, but here's why, then it's like, oh shit, that's what's up. Because now we can compare and contrast our supporting evidence, and then maybe, who knows, between us doing that, we come to a different conclusion altogether, and we both walk away satisfied.
I was going to say that we can have a respectful conversation. We're doing just fine because you guys aren't bringing some cookie cutter bullshit to the table, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah,
well, I've done my best cookie cutter bullshit to break away from any of the molds. You've probably heard me say that as far as religion's concerned, if you can call yourself a name, as far as that be, like I was raised as a member of the Church of Christ, with Catholic, Baptist, Missionary Baptist, Kojic, Lutheran, Presbyterian, whatever you want to call yourself. If you can call yourself something, you've probably got it wrong, because you've relied more on man's institution than God's. To me, the answer to
a collective identity as opposed to your own.
It's not so much a collective identity. I just think that for me to go sit in a building and adhere to a certain set of principles that completely contradict what the meaning was ultimately supposed to be, like, I mean, I've dug into different denominations a little bit. I've gone to different churches, but being raised Church of Christ, that's the one I'm most knowledgeable about. Like, growing up, whenever anybody would ask me, you know, where do I go to church, and I tell them I go to Church of Christ, and they're like, "Oh, you're the ones that believe everybody else is going to hell, don't you?" And I try to be like, no, but then I sit there and think about it. Well, yeah, that's pretty much what they teach, is that if you're not a member of the Church of Christ, you're pretty much going to hell. And I'm just like, man, the day I realized that was some bullshit, I was like, man, I really don't like, I really haven't been to church since, because there's no point in it.
I don't think the Bible says that.
No, and if you read what the Bible says that that it's between you and God, not between you and the church of God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the more, I don't think there's anything with reaching out to somebody trying to learn about a specific topic or something, but to go sit in a building and just believe everything that the man behind the pulpit says is gospel truth, I think that's a dangerous game. You're playing with your soul. And if you really want to know the questions, then you've got to go to the scripture and you've got to talk to God, and then you'll figure it out. And that's where I'm at with it. And I hate it, because like, I don't know how to really treat the situation with my kids, because I can't break down what they need to know into a 8-year-old and 12-year-old level. You know, it's like I can barely understand it at 33, but like, they've got to start learning, because my kids really don't even know about Jesus. You know, they know that, you know, they've got a Bible. I think they look at it, but they don't. Like my oldest daughter, she carries it around, and like a fork fell in the sink the other day out of the dish drain, and she went and got the Bible and was like, "Demon, get that up!" Just like, girl, you bet. First off, quit playing, because if you get some shit popping off in my house tonight, I'm going to be mad. I have to work in the morning. I cannot move tonight. We got to live here for at least the rest of this lease, honey. Like, I need you to stop. We're not going to acknowledge what's in the corner messing with the dishes. But like, they don't know, and I can't provide it to them, and I understand that, and I feel like I'm depriving them of that relationship. But I just don't feel like the answer is taking them to listen to some other man tell them what it is. Like, because at the end of the day, man's fallible, man. Like, it's the age-old quandary, you know, how can I trust anything that a man's done, because a man's always going to be wrong. But then I heard something today that was like somebody arguing that they couldn't trust the Bible because it was written by a man. But then the dude was like, well, who else was supposed to write it? And I was like, damn, that's a good question. And if you think about it, who else was supposed to write it? I mean, because the giraffe, the birds in the sky, were they going to write this book? I mean, a man's hand had to pen it. It's just, once again, I think it's another rabbit hole that we can fall down and never really find ourselves in a settled set spot. I think to be a follower of Christ means that you're always evolving in your way of thought, because we're never going to fully know. At least that's my opinion. The best we can do is the best we can do.
Sure.
Theo, what do you think, bro?
Man, you guys are you're talking some stuff that's really I don't know how to say this. Finally, at this point in my life where I'm coming around, and I have been reading the Bible. That's a result as far as I'm concerned. By the way, hey, you guys have me on video now?
What do you mean on video?
Can you see me, or are you
seeing
that icon?
I just see that beautiful state flag with Mother Freedom dropping bombs.
Man, I guess it's just a result of my lack of faith in man. Like I said earlier, I don't think there's any way out voting and politically. If I've I guess I'm coming out right now on the airwaves. I've finally decided that Christ is the way that the footsteps I want to follow, and I'm sure you guys have heard it before that I'm nowhere near where I need to be. We never will be, but I'm there. I've been reading, and I think that the Bible does provide what the blueprint, what we need to do. I mean, if you look at Mark 1:15, it's pretty simple. Christ said, and saying, "It is fulfilled, the kingdom of God is at hand. Repent and believe the gospel." So that's what you have to do. You have to repent and believe the gospel. So what is repentance? Turning away from sin, and which, getting back to the Enoch in the story prior to that, sin is woven into our DNA. I believe that, and Christ is the way out. And it's not just faith in Christ. Yes, it's faith in Christ, but that faith in Christ and loving God is following in his footsteps. And that is the turning away from sin. So if you are following Jesus and if you have faith in Christ, then it's not a works-based religion, right? But the faith in Christ and walking in his footsteps, works are going to happen. So
Sure. I agree.
That's where I'm at. I hope I don't get in trouble.
No, brother. I love. First off, if I understood you correctly, I am really humbled to be the person to distribute the message that you finally, settled into being comfortable enough to say that you are a follower of Christ. That's awesome, brother. I wish you nothing but the best in this never-ending journey of
appreciate it.
Mystery and conundrums. But a couple of things that you touched on there. Yes, it talks a lot about faith. We all have heard the passage where if our faith was but the size of a grain of mustard seed, then we could look at a mountain, tell it to move,
yes,
and it
sir.
would. But you also have to keep that in one hand and keep the scripture that says that faith without works is dead. You have to, it's not simply good enough to believe. It's what are you doing in your daily life to live like you believe? I'm nobody to tell, I'm not the person to sit here and tell you what that means or how to go about doing that. But I feel comfortable enough to say that you got to do more than simply believe. It tells us many is going to come before me saying, Lord, Lord, have I not done many great works in thy name? And he's going to look at them and say, turn from me. I never knew you. And it's going to be a horrible day because there's going to be plenty of people that, I've accepted Jesus Christ into my heart as my Lord and personal Savior, but then I didn't do anything else about it. But I was good. Jesus, what happened, bro? I was good. And no, man, it wasn't good. You didn't fulfill your end of this agreement, homie. So I think it's important to realize that it's a daily walk, like in the literalist of senses, from when you wake up to when you go to sleep. It's got to be in the back of your mind that, hey, I'm living for something more. I'm not supposed to do certain things. We're never going to stop ourselves from having thoughts that we have. We're never going to stop ourselves from having certain tendencies and natures about ourselves because we are human. But what you do after that? When you realize, man, I've been sitting here thinking about this woman I saw at the checkout line for 30 minutes. What do you do after that?
God knows.
Do you ask for forgiveness? And do you try to consciously make an effort not to do that anymore? Or do you just keep on going, oh, my bad. My bad.
That's
it's going to be
repentance.
your bad. Yeah, of course it is. And another thing you hit on, you said that we're all born into sin. And while that is true, I would like to make the distinction that we're not born into our father's sin. I'm not
Right,
held
yes, yeah,
responsible for what my dad did or what his dad did or what I wasn't when I was born. I didn't have somebody else's sin cast on me. I started with a blank slate. All the sin that's tallied up under my name is of my own. I didn't start behind the eight ball because of anybody else. And so and I'm not saying that's what you implied by any stretch of the means, Theo. I felt like it was important
No, you're good, man.
To draw that distinction because there are people out there. There's a whole sect of the world that believes that you're born with the sin of your fathers, and you're not. And I mean, if I wanted to, I could pull out the scripture right now and we could get into it, but Google you're not born with the sin of your fathers for anybody that wants to go find that passage, because it's in there. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm not on Reading Rainbow, but I can say that.
Reading Rainbow, LeVar Burton, loving it.
I have to say real quick, I have to interrupt Theo Theo, when you were talking, my fiance's on the other side of this camera, and she was giving me looks. So I was laughing, but I was not laughing at it. Just so it bugged me because it was at the same time when you were talking about
bro, you're good.
Scripture and
you're good. It's not like you can see me.
No, but still you can see me, and while you're talking and opening, I'm not saying opening up, but you're talking about this, and I'm laughing my ass off. It wasn't that I was laughing because we're actually in the same boat, dude. I didn't get my first Bible. I was, I've made. I'm not trying to be caught, but I can literally write a documentary on my life, and it's been pretty fucking wild. As I think every single person has had a very wild life, and also could write a documentary. But I just recently, within the last I want to say probably 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, I got my first Bible and actually started picking it up. And it was because I was taking advantage of my unemployment during the pandemic, and I had a fuck ton of money, dude. A lot of money, more money than I've ever had in my life. And for most people, they're like, that's chump change. For me, this was the most amount of money in my life. And I found myself, right? I went and bought all these cool things that I've always wanted that I could never afford. And I was the most miserable I have ever been in my entire life. I was literally, I never knew what depression was. I knew what it was. And I'm always like, how can someone be so miserable that they're depressed? That was my mindset. How are you depressed when you're in high school? It's awesome. Granted, I was depressed in high school, but I didn't realize what depression was until I had all this money. And I was the most unhappy I've ever been in my life. And it wasn't.
Isn't that wild?
It is so wild. It literally to me blows my mind because when I was a kid, I idolized all these rappers, and I wanted an Escalade because Lil Wayne drove an Escalade, and I watched Cribs. I wanted a fat crib, and I was going to be a famous rapper, even though I can't even write a fucking poem. And my thought process was so far off reality. And I'm not saying that if you have dreams and aspirations of being a famous podcaster or a famous country singer or rock and roll singer or rapper, I'm not saying that those are not out of the realm of possibility, but at the same time, I feel like I was living outside of my world. And it wasn't until I got the Bible and I started reading, I think it's Psalms 91. This is how new I am to this, right? Even though it's been 2 years, but I'm very new. Again, I'm very new to this as well, and I'm still learning as I'm going. And I'm not saying you're learning as you're going, but going back to when I was.
I am.
Yeah. So, and I think real quick, I think that this goes in a lot of different avenues of life. But the second that you think you know it all, that second that you know everything and you know it all, you're fucking asshole, babe. She's laughing at me because I always say I know it all, right? Darn it, dude. That bit me in the ass, dude. But anyhow, the second that you really think you know it all is the second that you fail. When you're not willing to like open up and like, whether that be a conspiracy, whether that being the Bible, whether that being is the grass greener on the other side. Like, I think that it's very important to be a sponge and to absorb.
Yeah.
And then you filter it out the best that you can. Rant over.
No, it's all good, dude. That was good. Yeah. No, I'm new. I'm with you. I did have the benefit of being around a lot of well-versed Christians when I was a kid, and it didn't really sink in until these recent happenings, COVID and yada, just losing complete faith in humanity, confidence in myself, and then realizing that I don't know, the Bible just seems so much more plausible now. You have to get choked. You got that choker you got to be ripped down to the ground, right? And I'm not saying that I was ever low. Because we're talking about you were saying depression in high school and whatnot, and dude, I'm with you. The same thing with me, but those are first world problems. Those are anomalies of the place and the culture that we grew up. Because you go to a lot of these places, I've heard at least, like really poor parts of Mexico and whatnot, and shit, they don't have the depression and whatnot that we necessarily have. Maybe they're not counting. I don't know. But
they don't have time
not
for
to
depression.
Change the subject. You guys, if I circle back,
yeah, get it, man.
Right,
yeah.
That's a good point. It's where's my next meal gonna come from? Do you guys mind if I circle back real quick to works and faith?
Go ahead, man.
Versus faith.
We'll circle back.
I'm gonna be right back.
This goes back to what Hank was saying. Yeah, it's all good. So, oh gosh, I really want to hear what Chef has to say about this. But this is a thought that I've had just, being at work alone and just probably not focusing on what I'm doing as much as I should. But works versus faith. So God knows our heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And works are an outward expression. So we've all met fake bastards that do all sorts of great works, but you can tell they're just evil, shallow, and empty. So what I thought recently is you take some of these guys that are at like the real extreme end of the spectrum, right? Like Ted Bundy. Okay?
Sure.
That dude, he did evil shit. He killed women. Like, we might not even know how many. I think the official count's in the 20s or something like that. Nasty, horrible. I hate bringing up the name. I'm not glorifying anything. I'm not to me personally, if I'll watch the crime documentary and whatnot. Chef, I'm glad you're back because I really want to hear what you have to say about this. This recent thought revelation that I've had. We're on works versus faith. Is that you go to a far extreme of an individual, of a person like Ted Bundy, okay? Mm-hmm. And that dude was a nice guy, man. All right? That dude worked on a suicide hotline. That dude talked people off of the ledge. Okay? I bet he bought flowers for mom every Mother's Day. But he was an evil bastard. So that to me is why works can't be the main focus. And that's why the works have to be an expression, not an afterthought, but secondary to the faith. Because if you do have faith in Christ, it's not just the works. The works are going to happen because his name is Jesus Christ, and he was the one. So anyway, I don't know. That's my thought.
Wow, dude. First of all, I did not know that about Ted Bundy, but even if, like, there's a lot of people that are in a very similar situation to Ted Bundy. There's a lot of great people that mean well, that work in like CPS, but they're also tied into child sex trafficking and child slavery and whatnot. No, that's a solid point. And I do, like, I feel the same way. I'm in a weird kind of situation, and I'm going to get back to what you were saying, but like, I have a hard time identifying myself as a Christian because, all right, as long as you can still hear me. Okay, there we go. Because I think that there are a lot, it's, again, going back to what you said, it's grouping, right? So I know good Catholics that are good people. But if you look deeper into Catholicism, like, it gets pretty dark. But I think that goes both ways as far as Catholicism and being a Catholic and what have you. I think there are probably some really good Mormons out there. But the root of, when you get, deeper into the religion and you get higher up, you're always going to have those shitbags at the end of that are, I guess, the head of the snake, that are messing everybody else up. And it even gets into with like the Freemasons. Like, I feel like there are some very good Freemasons out there, but when you get to the tip of the organization, they're all shitbags. And I think that all boils down to the tip of the iceberg. If you boil it all down, I think if you have, a relationship with Jesus Christ, even if you don't, and I know this is kind of controversial, where if you do not call him in your brain like Jesus Christ, and you do not accept him as your Lord and Savior as the name Jesus Christ, me personally, I believe in the Bible, but I think as long as you're believing in, I know this can go both ways. And I do back and forth on this in my brain. Like, tomorrow I might have a different conversation with you about it. But as of right now, my thoughts are like, I think as long as you realize your place on this earth, where you came from, and who died for your sins, like, I think that does have a big part in it. Like, I always try to keep, and Hank and I, we talked, I don't even remember what episode or what, but we were talking about incidences when you do something out of the good of your heart, which I think is also like in the good of Jesus and what he would want you to do. When you're walking down the street and you see this person that's homeless, or you see this person in need, even though they might be tricking you, and they might be, they want that $5 so they can go buy themselves another dime bag, or buy themselves another pint of booze, as opposed to feeding their dog like they said they would, or get themselves a cheeseburger like they said they were. They were looking for water and looking for food. I think it's the intention, and I think the intention also boils down to, the Holy Ghost, Jesus Christ, and knowing where you came from and accepting that. I think as long as you're putting that good intention out there, like, I think that's all that matters. And you're not doing it to receive something back. Because a lot of people are like, hey, like, if I give 10 homeless people burgers, like, I give them burgers all day. But then on your off hours, you're doing horrible, bad shit, and you're sinning to the next level. But you went to church that day, you got out of the church, and you went and handed out hamburgers or what have you. You handed out goodie bags, like. And that goes back to your Ted Bundy, bringing up him. Like, he was as you said, he worked for the suicide hotline. There's probably he
was a sweetheart.
He was but at the end of the day, he didn't have Jesus.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, maybe at the end of the day he did. I guess we don't know. I don't think that he said anything about that in the prison interview.
But hopefully he did. Hopefully at one point,
sure,
as bad
we're
as
supposed to pray for him.
Yep. And I do think there's again, being really new to this, the power of prayer, I can't deny it. I just can't.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's helped me out. It's helped other people out. And I don't even have the words, man. I really honestly don't have the words. It's
Yeah,
special.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Well, to me, it boils down to that one passage, and I can't even remember where I need to find it. That's going to come with time and repetition study. But as far as the way, it's clear if we read the Bible. And Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but through me."
That
And,
would be John 14:6.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
John chapter 1:1-6 is pretty moving as well. I don't have it completely memorized, but I have the first three. I do. What was it? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God,
and the Word was with God,
and the Word was God, and He was with the Word.
So you probably heard me go on my tirades about that specific verse, right? About how that
it's funny
word,
how we came to the same point.
Exactly. Like I call that word the law. And Kyle's heard me talk about it a lot. And when you think about it, instead of looking at that as word and more as law, then you start to understand more about what's really going on, because that law is the very essence of our reality. From
the law.
Yes, it is. It is the operating system of our existence. And everything from Lucifer to a mosquito was made from that law. It's there's just a whole other rabbit hole to go down with that. But at the end of the day, I think if anybody that gets into wanting to further their knowledge of the scripture or anything, the thing that I would urge is not to be overwhelmed, not to let yourself be disheartened by how much you don't know, because you've heard Chef say that he's new to it. Theo, I know you're new to it. I was literally raised in the church, and
in the South.
And I still don't know close to anything. I listened to Jason and Christopher at Operation Red Pill, and shout out to you guys. I love you guys. Their show has helped me out with my walk with Christ more than anything here lately. But you don't have to be a person who can whip out any given scripture at any given time. You don't need to know every single thing cover to cover, because I firmly believe that you'll never be able to understand everything that's in between those two covers. Not in one lifetime, anyhow. And I don't believe in reincarnation. But I do believe that we can learn enough to make it to heaven. And the basics of let's that finish. Is love each other. Try to live with Christ in the forefront of your mind. And like I tell Kyle all the time, don't be a dick.
I got to work on that.
We all do, man. We all do. I mean, I'll be sitting in the middle of town behind some slow grandma, just like, and then I have to just like loose off for a second. And, like, Hank, you ought not get this mad over being in traffic. And you're not
even from Southern California, dude. Come on, man.
Bro, I am that person that people, due to my past, like I am straight edge. Like I'm as straight as you could fucking get. Like
I'm just messing with you, bro. I gotta give you crap.
No, but dude, it's true, man. I'm that guy that Hank's honking at on the freeway. I go if the speed limit is 65, I'm going 65. That's it, and I'll stay in the slow lane. But I do, I do the Southern California little gangster roll. I don't do this, but at the same time, no, I'm serious, dude. I fly as straight as possible, man. Like I really try. Anyhow, that's what was funny. Yeah, I'm that guy. If you guys are honking, just picture Chef. That's me.
I'm gonna try that from now on. Maybe it'll help.
I'm listening to my podcast. I'm trying to educate myself. I got my kids. Sometimes I have my kids in the back. Not every time, but. And Hank, talking to you, man, my accent keeps changing, bro. Watch out.
You're welcome.
I'll take it.
I noticed you say y'all.
Yeah, I was stationed in. I don't know where it came from, but I was stationed in Florida for like 2 years, and
Maybe
a lot of the people
came from there.
Huh? I don't know. I
Maybe
really
it
don't
came
know.
from there.
But I at that time, and I still do, I listen to a lot of country music. In my opinion, it's one of the best genres of all time.
Just
I like oldies. I like a lot of stuff, but I love country.
You gotta get into
Southern
that
drawl.
Old country, man.
Let it suck you in.
Hank Williams.
Let it envelop you.
Hank Williams Jr. My grandma, I mean, she grew up listening to all that stuff, and it just kind of like poured
Next
on
thing
me.
you know, you're just going to be sitting on your front porch with a glass of sweet tea, chewing a wheat stalk. And it's
when and where? How do I get there? How do I get there?
Don't come here. We got mosquitoes.
I-80, buddy.
No, you got
I-80 is how you get here.
You got we got mosquitoes, bro. You got chiggers. You told me about them chiggers.
Oh yeah, we do got some chiggers.
Yeah, man. I don't know about that, dude. You said what you had to say. You said they like to go into like dark, moist areas, and it was that. I was like,
backs of the knees, in between your toes, all up in your crotch, butt crack, armpits, right around your waistline.
You guys get water moccasins in your wood pile.
Oh,
those are deadly, right?
Yeah, they're poisonous.
Yeah, fuck that.
They can be.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that's why -30 in the middle of winter is awesome.
It's a beautiful thing.
I haven't seen any of them this year. So far, I got lucky, and all I saw this year were garter snakes, which I'll leave them hanging around the house because they kill rats and frogs and shit.
Yeah, we got them. Yeah.
They like to scare the hell out of my wife, though. They'll sit there and hide under a tuft of grass, sunbathing, and then you'll take a step and literally step on one of them things, and they'll rear up, and then they'll scurry off.
Oof.
I'm going to quit acting like I ain't scared of them bitches, too, because I don't like a snake. I don't like a snake.
I'm down for a non-poisonous snake. I really want one, but I have 4 cats. I have 4 cats, 2 dogs, 2 kids, and a fucking shack. Literally in it's small.
My favorite snake's a dead snake.
Yeah, if it's venomous, like if it's a normal snake, dude,
there ain't no normal to a snake, bro.
Mice.
If it weren't for a damn snake, we'd still be living in the Garden of Eden.
Oh,
how did I know that was going to come up? Why are you afraid of snakes, Hank?
Because I can't hear them coming.
A rattlesnake
maybe because.
Well, see, I'm from an area where there's plenty of other nope ropes that'll kill you.
Did you say the cabal, Theo?
Yeah.
Yep.
I got really deep into
the fall.
I got really deep into spiritualism.
The fall man, right?
Yep.
And like, with the meditation and the chakras and stuff, and I got real deep into that, astral projection and all that, and then I started learning about the Kundalini. And then when I figured out that the Kundalini was this spine this serpent that intertwines with your spine, and like that's where your energy comes from, I was like, oh yeah, it's time to leave this alone. Of course, the one thing that you would be the center point of this whole idea would have to be a serpent. It couldn't have been anything else. It had to be the serpent. Okay. Appreciate that. Holler at you, Lucy. I'm out.
That's great.
Guys, oh my Lord. I cannot thank y'all enough for coming and hanging out with me tonight. Theo, I know you've had a long day, man. I am just so humbled and honored to have had you on here with us.
Thanks for having me.
This conversation
I really appreciate
has not
it.
disappointed.
I did want to say one more thing, and I think it would actually be a really fitting and good ending too, right?
Let's go.
If I may. And that is that to finish off those first few verses of the book of John, and it's just so beautiful. And the darkness could not comprehend it. Amen.
Let's go. And the darkness could not I'm writing this down.
Comprehend it.
Couldn't comprehend it.
That's read John chapter 1 through 6.
It's
amazing. Read
amazing.
the whole thing, but the first few verses there, yeah. So, hey, thanks for having me. I wish that Erock and Teepee could be here, but I'm glad that I could make it. And I think something's happening here, guys. I think something's happening here.
Oh yeah,
you guys
we're
are
definitely
badass, and
gonna.
We're gonna have to do more.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna stay in touch. I understand that it was last minute. Like I said, TP just reached out last night. Then I was thinking this morning, damn, I guess I could see if any of them want to come on tonight. And I'm glad I reached out, because if I wouldn't have reached out and asked if y'all wanted to hop on, it'd just been me and Kyle in here tonight. And there's nothing wrong with that, because Kyle, you know I love you.
I love you, brother.
Theo, this has been absolutely incredible, bro.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Hank. Man, this is awesome. It's been an experience.
I
really appreciate it.
Why don't you go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, Erock, and TP?
All right. Well, you can find us at iowatalkguys.com. You can find us on Instagram. I believe it's at iowatalkguys_podcast. You can find us on X at Iowa Talk Guys. You can email us tpteepee at iowatalkguys.com, Theo at iowatalkguys.com, Erock at iowatalkguys.com. And something that the way we always end our show is don't eat the yellow cake, don't eat the yellow snow, and don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Theo, man, once again, just can't thank you enough for coming on tonight. You'll have to let Erock and TP know how much they missed out on.
Oh, yeah, I will. I'm going to do it right now.
There you go. Kyle, my brother, you know I love you, man. Let the folks know about Sunday night.
You know where we be. We're kind of everywhere at this moment. I got little Ellie here in the house. Got to make her little appearance.
Ellie.
She's got her little amber necklace, rocking a little bit of that holisticness, trying to get rid of those teething issues that she may or may not be having. But yeah, you can find us over at Spotify, Apple. We're on a lot of other platforms. I don't pay attention to much of the other ones other than Spotify and Apple. Super stoked to be here, dude. One more time, happy fucking birthday, Hank Dog in the house. Happy birthday, man.
Appreciate it, fellas.
Happy birthday. And we should definitely link up. Theo, you talked to the other gentleman over there, and Erock and Teepee, and let's make something happen, dude. I think it would be really cool to do like a 3-part series, if not more, where we meet up and we drop one on 643, one on Iowa Talk Guys, and then one on SNSS. That'd be fucking awesome. I think we all get along. And yeah, man, it was a pleasure to meet you, Theo. Hank, again, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Likewise, Chef.
Hope you all have a blessed night.
Yes, sir. Send my best to Ashley and the kids.
Yeah, I will. I got to go make some. I know it's late as shit. Don't judge me. It's like 8:30. I got to go make some dinner. I'm not sure what I'm going to make up. But we have a couple. We're gonna mix some stuff together, and it's gonna be bomb.
My girl, man, she's so damn cute.
Yeah, she's. Let me say hi. Say hi. Say hi.
I remember one time when we're that young.
Speak with your chest. Right here. Speak with your chest. Say hello. Hello.
Say it with your chest.
Say it with your chest, girl.
Let's go.
I have all girls, and I try to remember that they're girls, but at the same time, I know the world they're growing up in, so I'm not like the nicest, softest, kindest, sweet dad.
Hey, I tell my children all the time, I'm your dad. I am not your friend.
There you go.
And then I turn around and give them everything they want.
Gotta raise. I mean, dude, again, just girls, dude, and they're coming up in a really, really crazy time. It's going to be even crazier when they get older. So it's about being strong and let's make some fishing hooks out of some beer can tabs. You know what I'm saying? Let's cut them up. Let's make some fishing hooks. Let's do a little project. Let's go.
There you go.
Let's go.
Anyhow, gentlemen, you guys stay blessed. I'm out.
All right,
cheers,
ladies
brother.
and gentlemen, we can't thank y'all enough for hanging with us to this point. Go check out Theo, Erock, Teepee at Iowa Talk, guys. Go see Chef at Sunday night. You know where we're going to be at. And until next time, we'll catch y'all later.
Hi, good night, everybody.